Alright, so hey guys, Zomb Phox here, and it is time for week 6. Of course, we have the sequel to that really awkward game between the Renegades and the Battlehawks where you had the Manny Wilkins injury. You had that insane ending where Sailors got like no carries or touches in the last 3 plays. This is a big one. Obviously, this matchup is just unfathomably important when it comes to the XFL conference because of the fact both these teams are 3-1. Or 3-2, my apologies. So because that, this game matters a ton. So let me pull up this real quick. Battlehawks, Renegades, and we'll put that poll up right there. The Breakers, man, I hate hearing that word. It's a shame that that team isn't here. It really is. I really hope that whenever they do the first set of expansion, if it does end up being what we expect it to be this year, that we actually get them. They need to be back. The Breakers were such a good team, and it's insane that we have to wait so long to get them back. But, hey, hopefully they do justice and bring them back soon. Because that team, I mean, they never even played in New Orleans, yet they had one of the most popular fan base. Or not popular, yeah, they had a big fan base. They had a very engaging fan base. Just an incredible one. But yeah, of course, tonight is between the Battlehawks and the Renegades. This is, of course, again, the last 3 weeks, really 2 weeks, we've had at least one major matchup. This is another one. Yes, it was a big deal the first time, but because of how the last week went with Arlington losing to DC and St. Louis pulling off the upset over Michigan, this game matters a ton on the USFL side. Because it's an insanely tough battle because right now in the conferences, you have both teams at 3-2 with the Defenders at 4-1. It is very possible that whoever wins this game will go on to make the playoffs. Now, it matters more for St. Louis, as Arlington winning means that they sweep St. Louis, meaning St. Louis is now a game and a half behind Arlington, whereas Arlington losing just kind of ties up the record. So it doesn't matter as much for them, especially because Arlington has already won 2 division games, so they'll be tied in that one. So we'll see exactly what happens in this one. It's going to be a close one. Sup, Jace? Of course, we can be friends on here. I mean, it's always a great time. I know I saw you commenting a bit earlier today. And then this game, wow, I literally just got a comment from Formath on that video. Just trying to check out all these things right now. I see, yes. So, for those of you who don't know, by the way, just before we get into this game, as in FYI, we have the ESPN2 game. I'm not changing the thumbnail, but the ESPN2 game is now on ESPN on Sunday between the Panthers and the Defenders. Mitchell reported, or he says that he believes that one of the NBA playoff series is going to be there. Subcar, I know I just answered your comment about that, but the game is now on ESPN because of the fact that there's an open slot thanks to the NBA playoff series. I don't know which one it is, but, I mean, we're seeing like all of them end. No shock. But yeah, ready for some good football tonight. This is going to be a good game. I mean, the last one was a really close one. Even if the final score didn't indicate it was a close game, that game was right down to the wire, and we're getting another instance of that today. So hopefully we get another great game. Of course, last weekend, like, odds are, for how much we'd love to see it, we're not going to get a week as good as last week because we had 3 incredible games last week, and then we had the Roughnecks game. But hopefully get a good one. I do enjoy the Maulers. I do have a Maulers jersey, but I would say that USFL-wise, they were probably my second favorite team. But, of course, no longer with us. Even though they kind of are in spirit with the Memphis Maulers, everybody likes to call them with the Showboat, since the Showboat team's got about, like, 17 former Maulers on, like, both sides of the ball. I mean, it's actually wild. But yeah, I was just browsing on Twitter, seeing stuff going on. Saw some WWE releases come out today, and a lot of them are ones that I am definitely not a fan of, but yeah, a lot of stuff happened there, so it's pretty wild. Then, of course, tonight for St. Louis, the biggest issue for them is the fact that we have not only a St. Louis Blues playoff home game, but a Cardinals home game. So expect this to be a legit shot that for the first time in the UFL era, we have a sub-30K Battlehawks game. And do note that will be entirely expected because of the fact that the Blues are hosting a home playoff game today. Scotty is at 6 lead right now at the Byron Nelson. Not shocked. I was watching some of that yesterday. I didn't watch a ton today, or didn't watch any day, but I watched a lot yesterday. It was really good. So yeah, it was something else. Sub G, man, you guys got the win last week. I think you guys are gonna get the win this week as well. I know a lot of people are picking the Roughnecks to win. I think Memphis gets it done. Now, for those of you who did not see, Dawood Davis is inactive, and BJ Hall got put on the inactive as well. But Wes Hills is going to be playing for the Showboats. So Yes, not getting to actually see Daywood play hurts, but he is back, so we expect him to be playing next week. And you did get back, obviously, Wes Hills. Now, on the other side, Marcus Sims was put on the inactive roster for the Roughnecks, so you're both kind of at square one when it comes to that, so big deal. And of course, Wes Hills being back is huge for them. Wes Hills, for those of you who didn't watch him back in 2023 with the Breakers, was incredible. And then last year with the Panthers, before he got hurt, he was playing really well, one of the best running backs in the league last year before he got hurt. Again, because of how Abram Smith has played, whenever we see a player come back from injury, especially running back, we kind of have to wait and see exactly how good they are. Because obviously with Abram Smith and how he's played this season, there's going to be a lot of concerns and question marks about how good Wes Hills is going to be this season. But if he's even somewhat as good as he was the last couple of years, it will be a huge upgrade for the Showboats. And especially with Deneric Prince actually looking pretty solid last week, it'll kind of provide a real 1-2 punch, which we did see last year with the Panthers, as we had Matt Colburn and Wes Hills be a very solid 1-2 punch. Almost got to put the TV on. Of course, tonight's game is on Fox. And of course, I have to put stuff in front of my TV sensor on accident, is what it is. But yeah, this should be a good one. It's an important game. Again, we have the poll up right now to see what they do. Or to see what you guys think who's going to win. Again, I picked the Battlehawks to win this game. I know a decent amount of people are picking Arlington. Yes, Arlington is the better team, but it's one of those things where it's St. Louis has enough talent in specific areas to where even though as a total team they might be a bit worse than Arlington, the difference is like almost inconsequential. You get Hakeem Butler back for a second straight week. If he even does, one of those big receptions, that's huge. And Arlington has had a very, big habit of choking away games. Even the one against St. Louis a couple weeks ago. Like, this St. Louis team is much healthier than it was 2 weeks ago, despite it only being 2 weeks. And even in that game, they were literally one good play away from winning the game. So, I think St. Louis gets it done. Teams are back in 2026, Breakers, Stars, Vipers, Dragons. It would be great to see some of these teams brought back. I've always said that it feels like it's going to be a 2-team brought back, or 2 teams added at a time, and that the best case scenario is 1-1, one new team and one previous team. So, like, as an instance would be bring back the Breakers, add a team in Louisville, then add the Sea Dragons back, then add a team in, like, Canton. I just feel like that's probably the best case scenario for the league, because then you kind of get everyone around the country excited for football to be here. So, yeah. I don't know why, but I think besides Seattle, the UFL will add a team from Canada for the 2026 season. I know part of the reason is because of the fact that during this time of the year, you don't have the CFL going on right now. So you have teams in that northern area that could. The whole question is just about travel costs and, the border stuff, because you have a lot of issues when it comes to the border stuff with certain players, but overall, I wouldn't be super shocked if in the future we see a team there, but the next expansion, I just don't see it, but I would not be shocked at all with one in the future. So, yeah. Sup, Adam? The Sea Dragons, or the Dragons, yeah. I do hope they come back at some point. I hope the Breakers and Dragons are the 2 teams I would like to see come back the most. UFL needs to go to Omaha and Columbus. I definitely think that they should bring back the Nighthawks. The Omaha Nighthawks from the, not the original UFL, but the UFL from, the early 2010s would be a great team to bring back. So over here, make sure to like this stream. Of course, we have the poll going up right now. So far, it is 67% for the Battlehawks and 33% for the Renegades. Again, we'll keep that poll up until kickoff. Let's see what's going on the Twitter space, seeing if anything else going on right now. Not yet. Of course, this game, I'm going to pull up the stats to the last one, because I feel like that'd be a good thing to do. So, while we're, still about 7 minutes away from the game even really turning on TV, Week 4 matchup between these 2 teams. Final score is 30-15, though the big asterisk was 8 points were scored off Manny Wilkins' torn Achilles, and another 8 was scored on the pick 6 at the end of the game. Of course, in that game, the Renegades failed to score even 1 point in both the second and third quarter. St. Louis failed to score it all in the fourth quarter. Total yardage, both teams did virtually nothing. One of them, being the Renegades, barely broke 200. They both overall had pretty weak days. Duggan looked horrid in that game, but looked a lot better last weekend. Sailors looked as good as he pretty much always does. So, we'll see for sure about this one. I would say in terms of the past teams, I just have that feeling that, like, the Bandits aren't going to come back. Just because of the fact, like, I don't know why. There's a couple of teams that just don't have a feeling will come back. Like, I know some people want to consider the 2020 XFL being part of this UFL. I don't. I think that it's its own distinct league from the 23 version. But, like, the Wildcats, I don't see them coming back. Even though they had a cool color scheme and all that, I just don't think they will. And then the Bandits, I just don't think so. I think if they're going to bring back a team, they're not going to put one in Florida due to the summer stuff unless they get into like an indoor stadium or something. Maybe we'll see, but that's just kind of how I view it. So they apparently gave out Thunder 6 to St. Louis. I mean, like I was talking about earlier, I know some people have joined recently. For those of you who do not know, St. Louis's attendance, we will probably see sub 30K for the first time in the UFL history. And the reason is, not only is there a St. Louis Cardinals game happening at the same time in St. Louis, the more important one is the Blues are still in the playoffs and are hosting against the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, this series has been one of the most entertaining series so far in the NHL, as this is Game 6. Again, so far, pretty much every series is over. Game 7 is going to happen between the Stars and the Avalanche. That's going to be a great game tomorrow night. But we have the Jets-Blues. The Jets can clinch. The Blues can try to stay alive. So that's going to really hurt the attendance there. But we'll see. Maybe we get shocked. We've been surprised before, right? We've seen Arlington stay pretty solid. The Kings. Hey, for the community members here that saw my NHL bracket, I explicitly said in that video, the Kings just keep losing to the Oilers, and it's going to keep happening. They had a 2-0 lead, and they lost 4 straight to get beat 4-2 against the Oilers. So far, my brackets haven't been perfect, but they've been pretty damn good, not going to lie. They've been, again, I know like G-Man, I think G-Man, Mole, they've seen them. They've been pretty solid. Not perfect. A couple of them have happened, of course, if the Avalanche do pull off the win over Dallas. That's another big L for me. But so far, been solid in that one. Maybe Jay Adams may want to go back to the Breakers. Yeah, I mean, this Showboats team is so weird because, like, they're barely the Showboats from, like, 2023. Because in 2024, they were more like the Memphis Breakers with how many Breakers they brought in. And now they're the Memphis Maulers with how many Maulers they brought back. It's actually insane. They did in Canton, and I looked around, and folks didn't seem to know how to use them right. I always wish they did a Thunder 6 tutorial on the commercial break. Here we go, Zomb. Let's see the Bhawks pick up a big win here. Hey, this is going to be a big one if they can get it done. Again, this game matters more for St. Louis than Arlington. St. Louis losing this game puts them fully a game and a half behind Arlington, and considering the fact that, we're at the second half of the season, it's going to be a lot harder to catch up to Arlington, needing to be 2 games ahead of them, essentially, or, needing to win 2 compared to them losing 2. It'll be difficult, especially because St. Louis still has the DC matchup in Week 10, which is, of course, that might mean a lot for the XFL Conference. It could mean the difference between, like, 2 teams making the playoffs. Because let's say, for instance, DC does lose to Michigan, right, on Sunday. That makes the XFL Conference really close, top to, well, I was going to say bottom, but the Brahmas, not really. But it's going to make it really close. So there's a couple of big matchups there that, of course, matter a lot. Let's wait and see. You never know exactly what's going to happen. You never know fully about everything, but we'll see. I mean, this week should be... It's not going to be as good as last week. Last week was just insane. You had 3, like, legit all-time classic UFL type of games. But we'll see how this one goes. St. Louis' next opponent is going to be Memphis, and then they play the Stallions. So they still have the Stallions on their schedule. They still have... So they really have 2 tough games after this. They have DC. I mean, Memphis could be tough depending on how healthy they are, how they play this week. We'll see. But you never know. All we need to do is win. Hey, the guy who got Offensive Player of the Week, I mean, I think I stand for everybody when I say he shouldn't have won it. No offense to Win, but, like, bro wasn't even the second best quarterback this week. Maybe in second best, but that was kind of a participation award for him. That was a congratulations, you got to win. Here's your Offensive Player of the Week award. They just didn't want to give it to Perkins a 3rd straight week, or they didn't want to give it to Akeem for only having 2 receptions. But Wynn looked solid. He looked a lot better than either T-Will or E.J. Perry did. Well, let me rephrase that. He didn't look better. He just looked consistent. Like, peak for peak, T-Will at his best looked way better than Wynn did. Same with Perry. But the difference is Wynn didn't have those spells of throwing those, like, horrid passes that Perry and T-Will did. That's been the big difference. Of course, for those of you who don't know, the Brahmas are starting Kevin Hogan. I know, kind of a shocker. They just straight up said no to Jared Garantano starting. So Kevin Hogan is going to be starting for the Brahmas. I can't believe it, yeah. Yeah, that Battlehawks Dragons game back in Week 9 of 2023. That's the ultimate proof of your conference/division games matter. You got to win the ones that matter. That's the thing that hurt them so bad. Who has better odds for attendance or for a playoff appearance? Showboats, Roughnecks, Brahmas. Oh, the Roughnecks. At this moment, the Roughnecks easily, because the Roughnecks legitimately could be in a playoff spot if they win today, or if they win this week and have things come there. Wait, let me make sure. Let me make sure I'm correct about that. They win, they get up to 2-1 in the divisional record. They'll be at 3-3. The Stallions will be at 3-3. Panthers could be at 3-3. They'll be 2-1, 2-1, because they're both playing XFL teams, right? Yep, XFL teams. So far, the Roughnecks, they will be tied record-wise, but won't be in. So the Roughnecks legit could be record-wise tied for a playoff spot. The Showboats, I feel like, have the tools to make a better run, but technically Houston is right in the playoff race, whereas the Brahmas, they're basically done. Because of how good the XFL Conference is right now, no matter what, you're going to have a minimum of 2 teams at 4-2. And if they lose this game this weekend and you're, stuck with 1 win, you're screwed. Jarrett is so good at being bad. Who is Kevin Hogan? He played for about a drive against the Roughnecks last year, where he came in, had like 1 okay drive, and then got him that field goal to win the game. That's pretty much all we've seen of him in terms of the UFL, but he was there. Kevin Hogan, Browns Legends, ain't that the truth? We'll see. The New Orleans Breakers is a team based on water. Go over here. Again, we still got the vote up. We got 12 votes so far. Still a little bit of an edge to the Battlehawks, but not too different. Again, this game is in St. Louis. The last game may have been a 15-point difference, but that was heavily done because of the very end of the game with a pick 6 by Ajeen Harris, who some people do view as the MVP. Again, if you didn't see it, I posted a MVP ranking video on Wednesday, and I put Ajeen Harris at number 2 on that ranking. I think right now he is the second most deserving player for MVP. I know he's given up a decent amount of yardage, but he's also gotten, the big pick 6. The pick against the Defenders last year should have won him the game if it wasn't for, just some really poor play by the Renegades offense last week. But we'll see. The offensive edge, run game for St. Louis. Jacob Sales versus Kalen Ballage, not even close. Again, this is the third game with Max Duggan in at quarterback. This is only his second start, but basically his third, considering the fact they played like the entire game the first time. Remember, Hakeem Butler was back last week, so they did get some, reinforcement there. Both of these teams somehow are becoming 2 of the healthier teams, not fully, but yeah. Well, we get to watch the game on live stream 2W. I think that's going to go away in a second. I know it did last time. I would imagine it does, but we'll see. Spring King lead us to victory. Predictions, I say any team that wins out from here makes the playoffs, and I also say that no team wins out from here. Yeah, I would say any team that wins out, minus maybe San Antonio. There is a scenario where San Antonio wins out and they'll still miss the playoffs. Like, they legit could win out and they might still miss the playoffs just because of how the XFL Conference is right now. But any other team that does it definitely would, but I agree. I don't see any team doing it because the way this season has been, it's going to be wild. We're going to see some teams lose games that they have no business losing, and some teams win games they have no business winning. It's just one of those kind of seasons. It's going to be a very interesting one in a lot of ways, but hey, we'll see exactly what ends up happening. Let's see over here. 7 new posts. 2 weeks been able. Oh, wow. So Anthony Miller's finally going to be able to do his live tweets for this. How about that? Now, let me see. I know I talked about the NHL. I forgot there's an NBA game going on. Warriors, Rockets. Hopefully the Warriors win, because then I get that pick right, too. I figure the Warriors are going to beat them. The Rockets are one of those teams where I still can't believe they finished as a goddamn 2 seed. Like, that team is not 2 seed good. And I think it's being sort of exposed in the playoffs. I mean, Sangoon, Green, Thompson, Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks, Steven Adams, Shepard. I mean, that's not a bad roster, but it's a really young roster. It's my biggest concern with the Thunder as well. I thought the Thunder, they got a pretty free matchup against the Grizzlies. That's like the cakewalk of the NBA playoffs, really, aside from the Heat. That was the real cakewalk. But the Grizzlies haven't been as good as people say they are in a while. But yeah. Bro, I was explaining to someone why nobody know about the UFL, and I said that the UFL didn't do a lot of marketing and advertising. Only diehard spring football know about this league. Yeah, I mean, the it's true. I mean, the only market they somewhat marketed in general was Memphis, and clearly didn't really work too much. But in terms of advertisement, they did some, but not nearly enough that they needed to. A lot of it is like something as simple as a communications department. Like earlier this week, or not this week, earlier this year, when you had that whole thing where they ended up, what was it? Earlier this week or this year, there was an actual instance, where they posted the inactive list after the game was fully over. Something that simple is inexcusable to do. And that happened. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. Thank you, Indies, for smash the like. Yeah, I agree. I mean, hopefully this game's good. Fox trying to make me watch this thing. I don't want to get any sort of thing taken down. I know odds. I know the UFL is really good about this, but I don't want to, stream the first 30 minutes of the game and be one of those people. You know what I mean? So yeah, scores over here. Matchup. That's okay. I just wanted to do that. I didn't want to put the game on, bruh. So let's just put that there. Can't believe we reached week 6. It really is insane how fast this season has been going. Like, it normally goes fast, but, like, man, it has been fast this season. Like, it's actually been wild how fast this one has been going. I'm watching 2 games, the LFA Mexico and the UFL. I agree with what that said. I agree with that fully. They have to win this game. This is a must-win game right now. You lose this game, you are screwed. You have to get this W for sure. All dogs this week. I still can't believe Michigan is the favorite in that game. Like, I get it. DC hasn't been the most impressive 4-1 team in spring football history. But, like, dude, really? They're the underdogs? I just can't believe it. But, yeah, I know a lot of people have been pretty poor when it comes to game picks this year. It's just been insane. So the game is about to kick off. Let's see what ends up happening. The Battlehawks are kicking this off. They have decided to defer. And yeah, the attendance definitely looks to be kind of impacted initially by the Blues hosting that playoff game, which really hurt. But yeah, I'm watching 2 games. This, the Bukers preseason debut in the WNBA. I didn't even know that they were already starting that. Returners up to the 10, the 15, the 20. The Renegades get to the 25, and he gets tackled down at a bit past the 30, about the 31-yard line. My only misses were because of Beham. Yeah, Birmingham's been pretty something right there, hasn't they? Players to watch: Ballage, Canelo, Harvey, and Mike Rose. Haven't heard his name called a ton this year. Last year was a very consistent player. I don't know what it is. We just haven't seen much. Been to 2 Showboats home game this year. Stadium is pretty rough with all the construction. More folks will show once it's done. Yeah, I know it was a big deal because, even though it's like people will say, oh, well, it only affects the one side of the stadium, you don't never really want to be at a stadium when it's going under construction like that. I definitely feel that. President shotgun. Ball snapped, hands it off, rushes up the middle for about a 3, maybe 3.5 yard gain, depending on exactly where they gave him forward progress. Decent first down rush for the Renegades. Again, running game has been pretty weak this week. And of course, if you follow Twitter, Bryson Elaine had a very interesting Twitter thing that went on during the week talking about his time with the Brahmas. It was pretty interesting if you didn't see. Which I'll go over at halftime because it'll be fun halftime content. Perez is in shotgun, 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. RB to his right. Ball is snapped. Throws it to the left. It is going to be caught just shy of the first down marker by Canella, who may have lost a little more than a yard than he should have, but overall it's still about a 6-yard gain for the Renegades. The Showboats play at, I forgot what it's called, Liberty Bank Stadium, I believe. It is where the original Showboats of the USFL from the 80s used to play in as well. So, pretty cool thing there. Against Renegades 0-1 Brahmas, 0-1. Yeah, the XFL Conference is a big deal because that record, 0-1 record against the Renegades, why the Battlehawks need to win so much. Now that the Pistons lose, okay. There is a flag. Looks like it's going to be defensive offsides or neutral zone infraction. Yep, neutral zone infraction on the defense. Yeah, the Pistons losing in the playoffs, I mean, it wasn't shocking, but yes, they did lose, so that's going to help out Ford Field, which already has been pretty solid this season, but again, we'll see. They're having a big match against DC. Hopefully get some good numbers there, but yeah. First and 10 for the Renegades after the penalty with a little over 13.5 minutes left. Perez is in shotgun, one man to his right in the backfield with him. Two receivers to his left, two to his right. Ball is snapped. Looks over the middle of the field, throws to the left. It is caught, and he stays up for a little bit, but then he gets tackled. It's going to be about a 9-yard gain, just about a yard shy of the first down by Deontay Burnett. Solid play right there for them. So far, very solid drive for the Renegades. Again, it's still very early. Did get, a bit bailed out with that penalty to get the first down out of it, actually convert it. 2nd and 1. Ball is snapped. Runs to up the middle, and he gets tackled just shy. That's some of that more poor play by the running back. Day was trying to wait for our opening, and instead of just taking the first down, he just kind of stood there. They might still give him the first down, but if he's shy, that's completely on him for just not going forward. Again, it's like I've always said, you have to get the first down. There's a time and a place to go for the big play. The rest of the time, you go for the first down. If you don't get first downs, it's what's going to cost you. That was a bad play by Day. Perez is in shotgun, or is under center now. He's got one running back right behind him, one receiver far to his left, and one far to his right. The others are bunched up. Ball is snapped, and it's a QB sneak. He gets the first down, and then about another yard and a half. Very solid QB sneak for the Renegades right there. They are, of course, past midfield by a decent margin. They're getting close to field goal range. Now, the kicking game this season has also been a bit weaker than last year. Again, with the departure of Jake Bates, of course, that hurt. But even though Hot Rod has been incredible, Conklin and McCrane have been very solid. It hasn't been as dominant as we saw last year. Last year, pretty much every kicker was just, perfect. Seen multiple kickers miss multiple field goals this season. It's been a bit weaker, so don't expect to see as many 55-yard-plus field goals as we saw last season. 1st and 10 for the Renegades. Perez is in shotgun, one man directly behind him in the backfield. One receiver to his left, three to his right. Ball is snapped, fakes the handoff, throws the quick little out, who gets out of bounds for about an 8-yard gain. Seth Green, I believe. Very solid play, but there is a flag on the field. Let's see what this flag is. Looks to be an offensive penalty. Yep, illegal shift on the offense. So, get rid of the big gain and then lose a couple of yards. Not a good play for the Renegades there. Under 12 minutes left in the game now. 1st and 15 for the Renegades. Someone said the show should switch to their original USFL colors, saying that might attract more people. Now, I don't know if that could work. Let's say that they return next year. Only issue, because I know the big reason they changed to be the purple and yellow is because of the fact that in the USFL back in 2023, I'll talk about that after this. 1st and 15 for the Renegades. Perez is in shotgun, two receivers to his right, two to his left, running back behind him. Ball is snapped, handed off, rushes up the middle, gets the big break, and gets about 11 yards on the carry. Huge play for the running back, Kalen Balash, with a nice play. Now, the big issue with the 2023 USFL and 2022 USFL, obviously, is the overabundance of red in their color schemes, especially white. Red and white was so rampant. The Gamblers had some red in their uniforms. The Stars were red. The Bandits were red. The Stallions were red. The Generals were red. So when you moved the Bandits to Memphis and changed them to the Showboats, it was kind of that decision to kind of fix that a little bit by getting rid of one of those red teams and making them blue and yellow. So you could change it back now. There's less red teams, so we'll see. Ball snapped, handed off, and then fake end around. Gets about 3 yards. Going to be about 3rd and 1, borderline 4-down range here. So now with how teams have moved, what teams are in the league, it would be possible to change to the original red and white color scheme. Though, of course, the Stallions still the red, but, it's not like we have multiple teams that are somewhat close in color. You have, 3 teams with different shades of blue right between the Roughnecks, Battlehawks, and Renegades. Maybe very different shades of blue, but they're still shades of blue. We'll see. In running is going to be under center. They're doing their little scheme formation with the 3 running back system, and they hand it off. They get the first down just barely. They put in Holton Ehlers for this kind of scenario to put the one quarterback in, the more mobile quarterback, putting the 3 running backs behind him. And it worked, got the first down. Under 10 minutes now, the Renegades having a very solid opening drive, even with the penalty that they took. This is a good drive. Eat up the clock, go downfield. They could potentially eat up another 2, 3, maybe even 4 minutes, depending on how slow they go here. This is a very effective drive for the Renegades. Again, we saw last week that Tank Bowl was a very fast game. That game was well under 3 hours. This game could be something similar if the Renegades are going to do this the whole time. Perez is in shotgun, one man right behind him in the backfield. Ball is snapped. Fakes the handoff, looks to his right. There is a flag, throws. It is going to be caught for a 0-yard gain. Let's see what this flag is. This flag could be another illegal shift penalty. Could be something else. We'll see. Still no word yet on what the penalty is. It's going to be on the defense. Offsides on the defense. Big break for the Renegades. Instead of getting the, no gain on the first down play, end up gaining 5 yards. Very solid for the Renegades. Big break for them. So 1st and 5 for the Renegades. 16 points in opening drive is the most in the UFL. It is pretty sad that's the most in the league through, 5 full games, but it is what it is. So let's see what the Renegades can do here. Again, so far, a very solid drive for them. 1st and 5. If they snap this, it's going to be maybe a little under 9 minutes. Perez is in shotgun, 1 man directly behind him. 1 receiver far right, 1 receiver to the right of the guard. Ball is snapped, handed off, and he gets tackled for a 1-yard loss. That is a bad play for them. But if you view it as you got 4 yards on first down, even though you got the penalty, not too bad. Going to be 2nd and 6 for the Renegades. I think the Renegades may upset, if that's what folks think. To me, it won't be that much. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Okay, so the poll, I will close that now that we are, of course, pretty far in. Yeah, I don't think this would be a huge upset if the Renegades do pull it off. I wouldn't be super shocked, but I got that feeling they're going to choke in the end, but it definitely wouldn't be too big a shock. I think the only real upset would honestly be San Antonio beating Birmingham. I think that every other game is pretty tough to call. I was shocked that DC were viewed as the underdogs against Michigan. I thought they were going to be the favorites, even with it being in Michigan. There is a flag, and it's probably a false start. Yep, a false start on the offense. Lose 5 yards. Going to be 2nd and 11 for the Renegades. And then even the game tomorrow between the Roughnecks and the Showboats, I think that's going to be a very close game, and I actually think Memphis gets the W. But yeah, would like the Showboats in the original colors. It would be cool to see them bring them back. I know some people talked about wanting to see like a throwback week, which would be really cool. Because I know how cheap the league is, right? A whole issue is getting the new jerseys, but it would be cool to at least see a throwback week for sure. Renegades lining up in 5 wide. Perez by himself. This drive might take up over half the quarter. We're at 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Ball is snapped, looks to his left. Quick throws over the middle. It is caught for about a 5-ish yard gain. Very solid play on 2nd down. Getting to a very solid 3rd and manageable right there. Again, this is a great drive for the Renegades. We'll see if they end up actually putting up some points here, but this is being really good so far. It'll be raining tomorrow here in Houston. Oh, man, it's going to be bad. That hurts for Houston a lot. Would be a miracle if my Brahmas beat the Stallions. I mean, they got the upset over DC. Kevin Hogan, maybe he pulls it off, but we'll see. 3rd and 4 for the Renegades. Perez is by himself in shotgun. Ball is snapped. Looks over to his right. He's going to throw a deep shot. It is going to be caught for the touchdown. The Renegades are on the board 6-0. Over half the quarter taken in their opening drive. Lejean winning him with the great reception. Again, every play was this short kind of pass through the 1 deep out, and it was a free touchdown. Incredible drive for the Renegades. That is one of the best drives of the UFL season. Just milked that clock insanely. Half the quarter is already gone from 1 drive. Impeccable drive by the Renegades. Great one for them. Really, really solid one for them. I mean, actually insane drive for them. They are looking at it on replay. They might be concerned that he might have gone out of bounds or something. We'll see. He may have been out of bounds. Let's see. He may have been pushed out of bounds. Oof. This is going to be overturned. He was out of bounds, was not able to get back in bounds. So this will be overturned. This will be called an incomplete pass. This will force a field goal unless they want to be very ballsy and go for it. Huge hurt for them right there. Renegades fans are going to be so upset about this. I know it's been like the whole season. Renegades fans felt like the league's been against them. And this is another one of those that really hurts. But out of bounds, can't go back in, even if you get pushed out or whatever. But definitely hurts for them. Showing the Thunder sticks in this. Oh, that's great. And it'll be an illegal touching penalty, bruh. True. Definitely hurts. So this is going to be a 44-yard field goal attempt for the Renegades on 4th and 4. No penalty, but it's still like 4th and 4. Let's see if he can make this kick. Again, only 1 miss for Harvestak right now, or this season, so let's see if he can make this one. Might be a timeout or something called. Stoops is challenging this. I wonder what he's going to challenge here. Stoops is trying to challenge something that you pretty much can't. He's trying to challenge what just got reviewed. That is a... Yeah, he should be doing that. So, yeah, that was almost a very bad decision right there. Yeah, the force out stuff is definitely something that's very aggravating because he was kind of pushed out of bounds and had to try and get back in. It's one of those things that definitely don't like to see. But, again, it's like what's happened to Arlington all season. They just had things go there. Sometimes it's penalties. Sometimes it's, overturned by the refs. That has been very not great. But this is another one of the drives the Renegades are going to want to have back. Again, yes, that was something that really hurt them, of course, being pushed out of bounds and that. But before that, they took a couple of bad penalties. So now they have to kick a field goal. You had this incredible drive. You're still going to get points as long as he makes this kick. But you spent basically 8 minutes to score 3 points. Not the best. And my minutes behind my TV. I know my TV, Fox is usually fast, and ABC is usually slow. So it might just be I'm going pretty fast. My Fox is always, really fast. So my ABC, for some reason, is, really slow. My ABC is as fast as, streaming, which should never be the case. And he completely whiffs the kick. Not even close. Wow, that is a massive break. So Stoops, in the end, arguably cost his own team 3 points. They stopped that play because Stoops was going to challenge something. So instead of getting the field goal, he debates on trying to challenge something he can't even really challenge, forces his kicker to make the kick that doesn't actually count, essentially icing his own kicker to then miss the field goal. That is a massive blow. You had this impeccable drive, just milked so much clock out just to do a couple of bad decisions. I mean, exactly. Stoops, that's not even you don't understand the super challenge rule. That is you didn't understand what got called. It was called that he was out of bounds when he touched the ball. You can't overturn that because that's exactly what just got reviewed. They're not going to review it again and be like, oh, we made a mistake. No, that's the point of reviewing it. So he inherently had no reason to throw the super challenge flag for what he was going to do. So he iced his own kicker, causing him to miss the field goal. That's on Stoops. That's not on the kicker. That's on Stoops. Iced his own kicker. That's not on your kicker. Stoops just iced his own kicker. That is a terrible move by Coach Stoops right there. Absolutely insane. Touchdown on the field does not stand. Yeah, that's shown. I can't believe that drive, insane long drive, all for nothing. Absolutely insane. Just awful. That should have been a touchdown. See, adjusted level coaching out there. Yeah, it is definitely really aggravating how the out-of-bounds rule works. But it's another one of those things, this is very reminiscent of the Birmingham game, right? The Birmingham game. The officiating, mainly the fumble. The false start technically was the right call. The fumble was botched. That game, the Renegades choked. They should have dominated that game to where those 2 instances shouldn't have mattered. This game, I'm already getting that feeling that might happen again. Because for how much that sucks that touchdown didn't stand because of the out-of-bounds stuff, they did take a couple of penalties that made that much harder to get the first down. And then you iced your own kicker to cost you 3 points. Yeah. Showing the Max Duggan throwing motion. The wild throwing motion. Phillip Rivers. I forgot who was the one that said that it looked like Phillip Rivers, but it is true. It's such a whack throwing motion. But hey, if it works, it works. CJ Johnson. Man. Last week in Michigan, 9 of 12 for 124 because a 50-yard TD pass was thrown by the receiver, Blake Jackson. Incredible, but let's see what the Battlehawks can do in this drive. Again, the Renegades took 8 minutes to end up getting no points. Let's see if the Battlehawks can actually score here. Duggan is in shotgun, one man to his left in the backfield with him, 2 receivers on both sides. Ball is snapped, looks to his left, Got a quick throw. It's going to be caught. Pearson breaks the tackle and gets the first down, and then about 3 more yards. Very solid first play for the Battlehawks, about a 13-yard gain. Showing the players to watch: Akeem Butler, Jacob Sailors. Not shocked. Not putting Ajeen Harris as a player to watch for the Renegades is diabolical. Chris Odom, agree. Donald Payne over Harris, disagree. No disrespect to Payne, he's a great player, but come on. Ball is snapped, they hand it off, rushes up the middle. It is going to be about a 3-yard game. Gotta admit, one of the reasons that the UFL's refs for the most part say things this year must have been meetings with the NFL refs, showed them how it's sympathetic. Yeah, I know we've talked about it a lot this season. Like, one big thing is the Super Challenge rule. For some reason, it's been so vague on how it exactly works. Because I believe it was Beck who challenged it, and he ended up doing it in a very, like, smart, vague kind of way to be able to get the penalty for him. Whereas Holtz called the wrong number because he got told the wrong number and he got screwed over. That instance was pretty bad. 2nd and 6 for the Battlehawks. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back. He's going to be pressured, but he rolls out to his right. He throws it on the run. Almost an incredible catch, and then it was almost an interception because it wasn't caught. That would have been an insane catch. He got it. But I feel like what happened is you had the Birmingham game where especially the false start thing happened, and the league saw all the pushback from it. And so now they've kind of like stepped back in those final 5 minutes to a degree to not get involved, which in turn, because you got involved the first time, you're now expected to again. Like the Panthers Battlehawks game we talked about, right? There was the roughing the passer call that borderline shouldn't have been called. They like reviewed it but kept it. Then there was the DPI that should have been called that never even got reviewed under 5 minutes. So I feel like they're kind of overcorrecting from the Birmingham game. Pass is thrown to the left. It is going to be batted down. Great bat down by the Renegades. Incomplete pass. 2 minutes and they're forcing the punt. Great play by the Renegades defense right there. And again, because the defense just did that, that means that the offense is coming back out to a tired St. Louis defense. They were just on the field for 8 minutes. Now they're right back on them. It's insane. But yeah, I feel like that's the biggest issue with officiating this season. They've been overcorrecting from the Birmingham-Arlington game to where now you're getting questions about the final 5 minutes. Because, like, especially last week, those games are incredible. But there was instances in all 3 games where you're thinking, like, they overturned the false start, but not any of these. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. Ball's going to go to the end zone. Tried to make a great play, but wasn't able to get it. It is going to be a touchback. Let's see what the Renegades can do this time. Maybe they don't get their own kicker iced. I still can't believe Stoops iced his own kicker. That's so bad. It really is. Really is wild that he did that. I still can't believe it. Oh, apologies. I just accidentally X'd out on that tab. I gotta put that back up. My apologies. I just misinputted. That's what it was. Misinput. Nothing else. Okay, so let's put that back up there. There we go. I'm shocked it went right back to it, but it did. We take those. We take those. Almost a bad thing that just happened. Refresh that. There we go. Now it's looking good. Nice. Okay. Crisis averted. What you said right there is inconsistency. It's so irritating. I mean, I really believe that that's what happened. I really believe the league saw the pushback from the Birmingham-Arlington game. They saw people be like, wow, that's insane that you overturned that and did what you did. Because since then, we have seen the under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, they're supposed to go right back there and do something. Calm down is missing, but classic clip. If you haven't seen that clip, you're missing out. Iconic Siege clip. But, like, the Panthers Battlehawks game, the Showboat Stallions, there were multiple plays that, in theory, should have been reviewed and overturned because you did it in the Stallions game against the Renegades, but since you haven't now, it's become questionable. The challenge rule, I feel like the super challenge stuff, I feel like that just needs to be hammered down exactly what the rule is. Do you challenge it in a vague way? Say, my guy got held, but I don't know who held him. Do you call it on this guy did something bad? Like, it feels very weird how you can accidentally say the wrong number and then it's like, oh, your challenge failed. You know, that can be hammered out, but the under 5-minute review, like, there's been some obvious ones that should have been overturned or added that haven't been. Like, I've always stood by the fact that a defender should be able to put full weight on the quarterback. If you are going to make a sack and you go to tackle him, you shouldn't be like, oh, I got to tackle him this specific way. Like, just don't hit him in the head, you know? If you shoulder tackle him, and as you're falling, you just happen to fall on him, why should you get a penalty for that? That makes absolutely no sense. But for some reason, it's considered a penalty, even though it has absolutely no business to be one. But yeah. I would say that, but then you had what happened last week against the Showboats, where Skip, you know, obviously said the wrong number. He got told like 90 when it was 96, or was the other way around. And he said that, and it was obvious who he meant to call it on, yet in the review they're like, oh, well, he didn't call the right number, so we're just going to say too bad, so sad, doesn't work. So I would say that, but last week happened, and it was just really weird. Perez is in shotgun, ball is snapped, they hand it off, rushes up the middle, tries to cut in, ends up getting about 2 yards on the play there. But that's what I would say when it comes to that. Because of how the Showboats game ended last week, it's harder to view them in that light. Because it feels like if they really wanted to make it like the Chiefs, they would have been like, oh, you clearly meant, 96, so we'll give you the penalty. Whereas they were like, nah, that ain't going to work. Ball is snapped, Perez looks to his left, looks to his right, rolling to his right, he's going to throw it, and he's going to be caught. He was not able to break the tackle. It's going to be about a 1-yard loss for the Renegades. If the Battlehawks can get a stop here, that will be huge. Force the defense of the Renegades to go back out on the field, let your offense have another chance, because if the Renegades are able to keep this drive going, get this first down, it's going to be awful for the Battlehawks defense to stay on the field for that long. Again, this is insane how much time possession the Renegades still have, even with this drive not going well so far against only 2 plays, but we'll see what they do here. 3rd and 10 for the Renegades. Let's see how many they can get. Can they get the first down? But looks like they're going to be a timeout. They were about to get a delay of game penalty. Again, this season, it's pretty whack how we're halfway through the season, and we're still seeing these issues where the teams are not realizing how fast the play clock goes down, especially for a player like Luis Perez. This is somebody who's been in spring football. Bob Stoops been in spring football. Chuck Long been in spring football. They know how fast this play clock is. Very shocking to see an issue like that happen. So let's see what's going on right now. NBA game hasn't started. The NHL game, of course, with the Blues. The Blues are up 1-0 over the Jets. Philip Broberg with the goal. Robert Thomas got that. Okay. Jake Neighbors. I know my boy Svetch got a hat trick. That was great to see. Love seeing Svetch actually play well. This season, he was so disappointing. This was like probably his worst season as a pro, all things considered, when you consider how long he's been in the league, his contract and all that. It was an awful showing this year for him, and it's great to see him actually come alive in the playoffs, right? He was part of that huge 3-0 comeback against the Devils where they won in double overtime. He scored one of the goals. I believe he scored the goal that did tie it. Then, of course, he had the hat trick in Game 4. It's been great to see him actually play well this season. Love to see it. While we're still in commercial break for the timeout, I wonder exactly how high he is on the playoff rankings right now. NHL stats. Currently, he is tied for second with goals at 5. So he's up there. Points, though, he's not too high. Doesn't have too many assists, but been pretty solid so far. Bunch of guys with 4 wins, not surprising. All the guys that won. Freddie Anderson was playing incredible, then got hurt, so we had to play Kachekov. Didn't even matter. Still got the W. Love to see that. It's great seeing the Hurricanes. I want to go to a playoff game. It's just like the issue is like so far every year the team, once we hit this second round, it's like that area we just can't get past. So it's like, do I want to spend the money to go watch him lose a game? You know what I mean? Like, I regret not going to that Game 6 because I probably could have gotten the money for it. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to one of them. We'll see. You know. Still got a lot of time left to go to one. Depending on how late they actually stay alive. Hurricanes takes... I believe they're playing the... Who are they playing now? The Maple Leafs or the Capitals? Hurricanes. They're going to be playing. Yeah, we're still in commercial break. I know, it's actually insane. Yep, okay, don't know. Is what it is. They are playing the Capitals. That's going to be huge. That would be great to go. All right, let's see what the Renegades can do here on third down. Again, this is coming off of a timeout, so you would imagine this should be a good play call here. Perez is in shotgun, 2 receivers to his left, 2 to his right, running back to his right in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped, looks over to his right, looks over the middle of the field, throws it for a first down. It is going to be caught for about a 15-yard gain. Very solid play for the Renegades right there. Big reception, big throw by Perez. First down. He is being very accurate. He only has 1 incompletion on the day so far. Incredible game for him so far. Just love to see it. Just absolutely brilliant. Love seeing this from him. Arlington, man, they're doing really solid so far. Again, this is a big play for them. Got that first down, get to keep going, keep this drive alive. Love to see that for them. Again, time of possession is like 5-1 almost right now. It's that insane. Still early, but let's see. They hand it off. It's going to be about a 6-yard gain on the run. Another very solid play for the Renegades on the ground. Love to see that. Again, they might be able to eat up the entire rest of the first quarter here, which would be absolutely insane if they're able to eat up that much clock. I mean, that would be insane. The entire first quarter, the Battlehawks get the ball for less than 3 minutes would be insane. 2nd and 4 for the Renegades. Let's see what they can do here. Perez is going to be in shotgun once again. Pretty much like the Roughnecks, like the only team that really hasn't been running every play out of shotgun. Every other team is basically just shotgun, but yeah. Ball snap. Hand it off. It's going to be about a 3-yard gain. Going to be about a yard shy of the first down marker. Based on the first half of the season, who do you see making the playoffs? I would still stay almost true. I would say so far, it looks like it's going to be the same in the USFL conference. It's going to be the Stallions and the Panthers. And the XFL is going to be DC and Arlington. Pretty much whoever wins this game and DC. Run up the middle. It is going to be a first down for the Renegades. They will keep this drive alive even longer. Would I be shocked if Houston or Memphis makes it? Absolutely not. Would I be shocked if the Battlehawks make it? No way. I mean, I think whoever wins this game probably gets the 2 seed in the XFL, and the DC Defenders get the 1 seed. Because of their record so far and the fact they have beaten, the teams that really matter, when you're only lost to San Antonio, it really doesn't hurt that much. So because you're DC like that, I think that you're pretty much fine. I think that if DC misses the playoffs, that would be a colossal choke job by them if they miss the playoffs. 1st and 10 for the Renegades. Perez is in shotgun, 1 man behind him in the backfield. And there is a flag. False start on the offense. Again, they were about to take another delay of game penalty anyway. Again, this is insane to see for the Renegades, a team that has so many true spring football, legends in a sense, who've been around for a while, who know how fast the play clock goes down in this league. Absolutely wild that we almost had another delay of game penalty for them. Again, 4 penalties for Arlington so far this game. That's something you don't want to see. Though, of course, the clock's going to keep moving down. Under a minute left. Barring a turnover here, the Renegades will be able to eat over 12 minutes of the first quarter by themselves. Perez is in shotgun. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Going to throw it before he gets hit. Deep to the left. It is going to be too short of a pass. Incomplete. Going to be 2nd and 15. There is a flag. This might be DPI here. Though the one thing I will say upon first viewing is DPI is supposed to be if the ball is catchable. I don't know if I would call that catchable from exactly when it happened. We'll see. They're talking about it. Again, upon first viewing, we need to see a slow down replay, but upon first viewing, it looked like it was a very short pass out of bounds. It's not like he was having to, it didn't look like it should be DPI because it looked like it was uncatchable, but we'll see. Oh, it might be roughing the passer. They're calling it. Let's see. Two fouls on the... Calling pass interference on the defense. They're getting declined, and they're calling roughing the passer on the defense as well. Got to see the replay for both of these, because the pass interference, I don't know if I fully agree with that. The roughing the passer, we'll see if it really was or was a phantom one. I'm going to show the roughing the passer here. Slapped on the head. I always stand by it. Something like that is weak, but that is, by rule, that is like a textbook penalty. I think it's a weak one that shouldn't be a rule, but that is textbook roughing the passer. That was just a straight hit to the head. Again, it's not even like he was fully going for the ball. You're talking about a right-handed quarterback and you're attacking his left. Like, that is the definition of a hit you have no reason to make. Terrible play by the defender. That is a decent roughing the passer call. Fake the handoff. Perez is trying to run up, and instead he gets sacked. He should have just thrown it away or thrown what he's going to do. Might be a fumble here, however. Let's see. They dogpiled on it. Let's see who has the ball. St. Louis ball. There is a turnover. St. Louis gets the ball. Again, another instance of Arlington just doing terrible right there. I mean, that is not good. Right after you get a big roughing the passer call, 2 penalties, and they even missed the hands to the face by the D lineman. I mean, you just got benefited 15 yards of roughing the passer, and then Perez fumbles the ball. That is not what you want to see. Let's see this replay. That's easy fumble, clear fumble every single day of the week right there. Kaka, sup Lil Cam, sup Molten. Again, well, Molten, I know you're here earlier, but absolutely terrible for the Renegades. Again, a second drive going incredibly well. You got benefited by a couple penalties, but an incredible drive nonetheless, and you're going to walk away with 0 points. This is why I picked St. Louis to win this game. I had a feeling that no matter what was going to happen, that Arlington was going to have at least a couple of drives they're going to wish they had back, like they did last week against DC, like they did against Birmingham, like they did against Houston. You know, even when they win, there's a lot of questions. Super challenge for Stoops. Let's see what he's challenging. He's challenging that it was roughing the passer. Weird, and it was, again, a hit to the head, but remember, when a quarterback is running, the ruling is a bit different. So, I mean, when you're running, it's a bit different. Stoops, oh man, it's not good. Stoops, just another bad one. That's not what you want to see right there. So they're now down to 1 timeout and no super challenge after the first quarter. Just a disastrous. For having 2 great drives, you did absolutely nothing in terms of gaining anything. Just insane. Just wild. Yeah, it's weird that you just called a roughing the passer for the exact same thing. Now, yes, I get it that one of them was a throwing motion, one of them is a guy running, and when you run the ball, it is a bit different. But it still is definitely a weird one to see. But that's probably the main difference. It was him running the ball, but like I said, it's definitely a weaker one. Run up the middle is going to be a 0-yard gain for the Battlehawks. The first quarter is going to end. The Renegades will have a little over 12 minutes of time of possession for 0 points. Absolutely wild. I mean, really wild. Just looking at what's going on right now on the Twitter space, seeing what's going on here. Trending. Let's go Luis Perez. Let's see if there's something being talked about here. He's gonna get hit in every body part imaginable. Bro, so many people are clowning Perez for being a flopper. That's actually hilarious. I mean, bro, they must have been Josh Allen fans. Okay, I didn't mean to do the random slander to Josh Allen, but still. Let's see. Bob Stoops is Bob. He missed the actual helmet hit and then saw it after he already said no. Yeah, I know some people are saying that Dean is the better of the two. Because, of course, there's Mike P doing this game, and you have, the two command center guys. Not a good look for Pereira. I mean, Bob Stoops is Bob Stoops. That's wild, but it's just, this game is just going really poorly for Arlington so far. So far through a quarter, Arlington has looked like the way better team, and it has done absolutely nothing for him. And that is what my fear was heading in this game. Because, like I'll say like it in the Birmingham game. You can blame the officiating, like you can. But the bottom line is Arlington is doing most of this to themselves. The Birmingham game. Yes, there were a couple of big things that happened. The fumble that should have stayed Arlington's ball, the false start nonsense. Arlington couldn't score when they got in the red zone. That's what screwed them over. This game, Stoops tried to challenge something which you just got reviewed, so it's not going to get overturned. They gave him it back. They said, we're going to give you a free timeout, essentially, is what they did. They essentially gave him a free timeout and said, don't challenge this. And then he proceeded to challenge and fail. Again, debatably should have worked, but it's the idea that he got his challenge back, got a free timeout, then just wasted it. Arlington loses this game in any sort of way, close score, lopsided score, those first two drives are going to really hurt them for sure. Especially the first drive. That was inexcusable and not put up any points. And the fact that Stoops iced his own kicker is insane. That's one of the all-time... That's a Curtis Johnson move right there. Icing your own kicker. Absolutely insane. Mike G's first message is slandering Memphis. Memphis is a lost cause as a city to host Pro Bowl. Attendance has declined from the height that the original USFL, the CFL, USA, XFL, AF. Now time to look elsewhere. A lot is going to be telling on this game because they are hosting the Roughnecks, correct? No, they're in Houston. So if they can win this game and they go back to Memphis after being on a 2-win streak, we might see some improvement because we did technically see a 500-person improvement from Game 1 to Game 2 this season. But sub 5K numbers in this time is insane. So their next home game, I believe it's next week, they need to have at least 5,500. Duggan gets the snap, hands it off to Sailors, who runs to the left. Going to cut up, and he gets to about the 50-yard line. Going to be about a 4-yard gain on the second down play. The Knights of Colombo. Most rush yards, again, that helps a lot when you have the best running back in the league, and you have two of the best, if not the two best, dual-threat quarterbacks in the league. I'm talking as a runner, not overall quarterback. We all know Perkins is better than... But you know what I mean. Running-wise, two great quarterbacks right there. Having the red flag in his pocket irritates Stoops, so just want to get rid of it. It might be true with how it's been this season, honestly. 3rd and 4 for the Battlehawks. They're at midfield. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back. Looks to his right. He's going to throw it for the first down. It is going to be caught, and he goes out of bounds. If he was not so close to the out of bounds, he would have been able to cut up, but still a very solid play for them. Good first down for them. Winning for Arlington. For the sake of the league, I think it's best that the Battlehawks win. For the sake of my game picks being correct, I want the Battlehawks to win. But for the team I like more, I hope Arlington wins. So I'm fine either way because it's what's better for the league. Because having Arlington win almost makes the XFL decided. Not fully, but makes it closer to being decided. Of course, if DC wins, it makes it really hard for St. Louis, but we'll see. 1st and 10 for St. Louis and Max Duggan. 2 receivers to his left, 1 fully out to his right. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff. Looks to his right. He's going to throw a deep bomb. It is going to be caught by Hakeem Butler for a massive gain. Though this might be called incomplete for being out of bounds. It is initially called out of bounds. Let's review this one. Again, it was called out of bounds initially. Probably was with how close he was going. Let's see. Leaps for it. He might have, if he initially caught it when he first had it, it might have been. Nah, he didn't get that. Yeah, good call. Good call by the on-field refs. That was an incomplete pass. Good call by him. Duggan is in shotgun. Sailors is to his right. 2 seconds off the play clock. Ball is snapped. Barely got it off. Rushes up. And he's going to be sacked. Big sack for about a 7-yard loss for the Battlehawks. Huge sack for the Renegades defense right there. 8K in Memphis after win this week would be an amazing sight, especially that hosting. If they were to get 8K, that would be a massive, massive W. Because last season, they only had one game above 8K. So I don't think that's going to happen. But if it did happen, would be incredible to see. Again, I think over 5,500 is what we need to see some real improvement. But we'll see. 3rd and 16 for the Battlehawks. That was a bad sack to take by Duggan. Lost a lot of yards. Yes, you have a great kicker, but now I'm going to make this a pretty much not going to kick it here. Duggan drops back. And he takes another sack. That's on him. He had more than enough time to run up, throw the ball. That sack was fully on Duggan. That is a poor play there. They are now fully out of field goal range, going to be forced to punt. The first sack, things just went wrong. That sack, that's on Duggan. Could have stepped up in the pocket. He could have thrown it away. Instead, he just kind of stood there, decided too late. Hate to see that. But again, it's still a tie game. The St. Louis defense has done enough to stop Arlington. The bend don't break defense. Sometimes it kills you. Sometimes you have Arlington playing against you, and they do Arlington Renegades things and screw themselves over, and your defense plays enough to where it's a tie game despite Arlington dominating time possession. Sup, Trevor? How's it going, folks? Flying today. Have a connecting flight through Baltimore to Columbus, so hi to anyone that lives in Baltimore or Columbus. Return is up to about the 13-yard line. I've been lucky. I've never had to be on a connecting flight. My cousin did. She lost all of her luggage one time. Like, she lost it, had to literally wait. Like, it was... She did the thing where, you know, like, if you don't know, when you go to fly, if there's an overbooked flight, you can get paid, like, good money to wait for the next flight. She did that. But then they, like, lost her luggage, so she ended up having to wait, like, an extra, like, 5 hours to go home. It was wild. But, hey, she made a lot of money, even with the time she spent doing nothing. Crowd looks good despite the Blues. Yeah, I fully expect this to be a sub-30K game. It's going to be, some people are going to act like it's the end of the world. It's because the Blues have a home game, and the Cardinals do, and the Blues game is a playoff game. That's a big playoff game as well. It's Game 6. It's an elimination game. So, yeah. Didn't you say that you were shipped physical UFL cards in an earlier video? Thank you for bringing that up. I got the package. It took almost a full month since I ordered it, but I got my card shipped to me. I have the package, like, over there. I'm planning to record a video that'll be posted next week. It's going to be either the weekly video or one of 2 weekly videos, so expect that on, like, Wednesday or Thursday with me unboxing it. It took a while. They didn't actually ship it till, like, 2.5, 3 weeks after I ordered it, but it got here relatively fast, but I have it. It's, like, right over there. So, thank you for reminding me for math. So, be on the lookout for that video next week. It's going to be, I think it's around, I'm not going to spoil everything, but there's like a few really big hits from the UFL set, and there's a couple other lower end hits and a full set of something, so it'll be cool. So, be on the lookout for that. No one can score. Yeah, Adrian, it's been, I mean, St. Louis has done almost nothing when it comes to offense. Like, that last drive was the best drive, and they took 2 bad sacks. But, man, Arlington's offense, it's just like they're doing it again. They're having these incredible drives to get into the red zone. And then it's like they see the red zone, they get scared and just stop doing anything. Then, of course, yes, there's been some questionable calls and all that. But overall, it's another tale of Arlington not scoring when they need to. Looks like the same attendance at last game, really close. I hope it's a good number. We'll see. Even Mon could score. Okay. Yeah, the problem is we get to see Kevin Hogan play. Did you have to do the E-Pack? Yes. Yeah, for all the UFL cards, like specifically the UFL cards, the USFL had physical cards, but the UFL, either it's the game dated moments or it's the, 2024 set has to be on E-Pack, then you ship it to you. So I just got not every card I had on E-Pack, but most of them shipped to me. Took a while, and you have to pay for shipping. It's the one thing I really hate about E-Pack, is you spend money to get the boxes, then you have to spend even more money to ship them, and it ends up being more than what it would be to just normally ship a box. It's insane, yeah. Been opening a lot less cards this year. Just how expensive so many things have been. It's just been hard to justify opening anything. President shotgun ball snapped. Hands it off to Ballage, who gets about 2 yards in the play. Because, like, I've been thinking about getting stuff to open, but then you see, like, a football box is, like, $300 for, like, a low-end set. It's like, I'm not spending that much money on. I can just buy a card I want. Like, the last box I opened was, like, over a month ago. Well, a month ago, and it was the 2023 Marvel Platinum set, which I bought before the boxes spiked to $300. Thank God. I only paid, like, $220 for it. But, yeah. That should be a fun video next week. Opening that package, getting all the UFL cards. Gonna put some of it in the binder. Some of it probably gonna be on display on my table or something. We'll see. So Burley, Hawks looked like doo-doo. But this tie game somehow, Perez drops back and throw. He gets hit as he throws, incomplete. I mean, it's the Arlington way. I mean, they're looking like the far better team. They're not scoring, so St. Louis is still fully in it. I mean, St. Louis has not looked good, but they're just, I mean, it's a tie game. It's actually insane. Yes, in case you guys didn't know, either weren't here earlier, don't go on Twitter. The ESPN2 game between the Panthers and Defenders has been moved to ESPN. Mitchell said that it is probably because of an NBA series that got finished. Obviously, Team 1. So that was going to be a playoff game for the NBA, but because that series is over, it is now open. So it is being moved from ESPN2 to ESPN. Pass is thrown to Ballage, who makes the great catch, but is only going to be about a 4-yard gain. Big stop for the Battlehawks. They're going to get the ball back, and they're going to get some decent field position here. So yeah, the ESPN2 game is no more. So we only had one game on a lower-end network on the FS1 earlier in the season, which just so happened to be like a great number. But yeah, Boats are dog water. I mean, hey, the Boats got their upset last week. They just signed Wes Hills. It's a huge signing if he's back being healthy. Again, we saw what Abram Smith has been this year, but if Wes is healthy, that's a huge upgrade. David Davis is healthy. He's still in the inactive roster, but he's back, so big move for them. Return is to the 30. There is a flag on the field to the 35. Cuts back, gets to about the 39-yard line, but there is a flag. Let's see what this is. So, I mean, the Showboats, if they can beat this Houston team, and then, you know, things go their way in the USFL conference with teams losing, they could be a game behind the playoffs. You know, game and a half, but still. H-Town needs to win. They have a better chance of upping attendance than Memphis does. In terms of upping attendance, I would say, yeah. But both teams really need it. They both need to go up for sure. But McClendon, he's looked really good. If I'm a Houston fan, and if I live in Houston, I would go see that. McClendon has been very fun to watch this season. He's been like he's been more like Perez, arguably, not fully, than Perez has been, where he's just a very solid, you know, does what he does. You know, goes out there, doesn't run too much, throws a pass, good pass, you know, accurate passes. Interceptions have been kind of whack. So, yeah. Didn't need to go there, go over here. Memphis is just under the graveyard by now. How have you done every Friday night game? This is becoming something I look forward to. Fridays are booked around my place. Yeah, every Friday I've done it this season. It was initially going to be one that I thought would be hard to do, but it's been pretty easy. It's been the one that's actually the easiest because for some reason Friday night I just don't have anything really going on Friday nights compared to Saturday and Sunday. So every single Friday night football game I said I was going to do it. So far we're 6 of 6. Love to see it. So hopefully I can do the last 4 as well, but it's been fun. Definitely something love to see. Being able to actually do all the Friday night games. Again, the Friday night stuff, even though the attendance hasn't, or the TV ratings haven't been incredible for Friday night football, it's something I've been wanting to see for a long time. Have a game on every single specific day of the week at the same time in the same network. That's what I've been waiting to see with spring football, pretty much even since the AAF, and we finally got it. I said I was going to stream every game. Doing pretty solid there. I mean, regular season-wise, I'm going to end up streaming as long as I don't miss one weekend. I'm going to stream half of all the games in the regular season, which would be wild. Yeah. Nobody cares in Houston. Houston, you know, it's like beating a dead horse. The decision they made with Houston to rebrand, but not really rebrand, but rebrand was insanely stupid. Like, for those of you who have only been UFL fans, the Houston Roughnecks team was the Gamblers, and the Gamblers then changed to the Roughnecks. But instead of keeping the Gamblers' history because it's the Gamblers team, they did like the Ravens and the Browns, right? Where the Ravens are really the old Browns that we have. Like, the Ravens now are the Browns, but they, you know, branched them off. It's like that. To where this Roughnecks team that was the Gamblers gets treated as the Roughnecks from the XFL. So it pissed off everybody. They tried to compromise to make both the USFL and XFL fans happy, and instead they just pissed both sides off, and now Houston's attendance is horrid. Because, I mean, like, that number about Houston that Mike G is talking about, the one thing I would say about that is that wasn't this specific Roughnecks team. Because the Roughnecks last year, it was in Rice, was terrible attendance. It was, you know, 7K. Now, this season, it's been 7K-ish. So it sucks to see it, but the Roughnecks, they really botched it. They should have either just stuck with them being the Gamblers, or they should have stuck with it, like getting rid of the Brahmas and then instead keeping like the Breakers or something. Because it was clear they wanted to have 4-4 teams, and it was clear The Rock was not going to let go of the Brahmas, named after him. So yeah. First attempt for the Battlehawks. Duggan is under center. Ball is snapped. Quick throw out to his left. It is going to be another trick pass. Let's see if he can get this throw off. He's going to run to the right, though. He's going to run for it. He gets about a 2-yard gain. Could have been a big loss. Instead, it's about a 2-yard gain. Again, with the Battlehawks, you have a couple of guys who aren't able to throw the ball, well, for sure. Panthers draw fans. Panthers have been great this season. I mean, they have been the brightest star this season. I think them and Arlington. I think a lot of people are very upset about Arlington. Arlington's attendance has been much better than I expected it to be. Michigan and Arlington's attendance have been very impressive this season for me. I was very shocked at both teams' numbers pretty much throughout the entire season. Shotgun for Duggan. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff. Duggan's going to run to the right. He's going to get the first down and then dive past the 45-yard line, about the 47-yard line. I mean, they could give away 10,000 tickets and count them. Yeah, true, Zomb. But winning can cure all. I mean, Memphis, it could also help them, but we'll see. Yeah, the XFL tickets, I don't remember how much they were, but the USFL tickets were significantly cheaper than the UFL tickets were, and I believe the UFL tickets ended up going up from last year as well a little bit. But the USFL tickets were always the cheapest in terms of the leagues, and that's why I've been very upset they went with the XFL ticket model, because the USFL ticket model was like super cheap compared to this one. So like that's why I'm really shocked at how good Michigan's attendance has been, because they've had, ticket prices go up, and they still are fine. I do think that, I was talked about earlier, but I do think that since the Pistons are out of the playoffs, it's going to be a slight boost to the Panthers. Not going to be like the most insane boost, but I think it's going to help them stay at least around that, 95-plus range that they've been at this season. Because, I mean, yeah, they haven't had a single game under 9,500, so I think they're going to stay there because of that. We'll see what happens tomorrow, or Sunday, I should say, but we'll see. Duggan is in shotgun. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Duggan's going to run to the right. He gets past the man. Gets about a 7-yard gain. Solid play for him. DC does okay. DC's been pretty solid this season. It hasn't been insane. Again, last year, DC is the team that feels like has been affected the most by the season ticket numbers going away. Remember the season ticket renewal rates being bad? Because they've been around that 12K number, which is where they were the last 2 weeks, or the last 2 home games last year. Feels like that kind of hurt them a lot, but it's still very solid. I would say it's a bit more than 6K, but like last year was really noticeable. There was a couple of games that said like 15K where there was not 15K there. But it's been better this season, but still not incredible. Ball snap. They fake the handoff. Duggan drops back to throw. Rolls out to his left. He's going to run up the middle. He's going to run for the first down. Gets the first down. Gets to the 30. Gets to the 25. Gets to the 20. The 15. The 10. The 5. He tries to hurdle, and he gets tackled for about a 1-yard shy. Incredible run by Duggan right there. I would say so far, St. Louis, don't even mention them for attendance. They're always going to do great. Not counting St. Louis, Arlington and Michigan have been the 2 best attendance teams in regards to what we expected, how many people show up, blah, blah, blah. They've been incredible. And San Antonio, it's been 1 game. That's why I'm not saying them. Their 1 game, though, incredible number. That 14-4, insane number to have for San Antonio. Massive. If they can even be somewhat similar to that the rest of the season, which is hard to say with how they've been, but if they can be even somewhat similar to that, incredible. Memphis, horrid. Houston, massively disappointing. Birmingham, honestly better than I thought it was going to be. Not good, but better than I thought. DC, kind of is what it is. That's what I would say. Football, I love to see it. Second goal for the Battlehawks. The 2020 XFL was great for sure. The 2020 XFL did a lot they knew. I know COVID is used as the reason it went down. I know there's a lot of people always use the counter argument that it was losing like a ton of money. But overall, the 2020 XFL, like I always preferred the AAF just because I loved the AAF. But the XFL was the best overall spring football league we had in those 2. It is a shame what happened to it, of course, whether you want to believe the side of it being the money or you want to believe it's COVID. Truth is, somewhere in the middle. It was great. It had great games. Great quarterbacks, great stories. You had guys getting paid a ton of money who sucked, which we did see with Brett Hundley, which is always a fun story, having guys that we didn't think were going to be good play well and actually be good. It was definitely great. It's a shame that league didn't get to play that much. Because I think people look back and think that league played as much as the AAF did. The AAF nearly played a season. The XFL, didn't even get halfway through overall, which is insane to see. But it was great. Shame we haven't had it back, but, it is what it is. Yeah, it was COVID mainly, but also the money stuff. I know that for how much USFL fans wanted to talk about the XFL losing money in 2023, because, that was a huge talking point. USFL fans were, digging on the XFL for that. The 2021 lost, a ton of money. But that's because they spent money, right? It's like what the UFL isn't doing. The UFL isn't spending enough to get all the marketing stuff. That's why the XFL is so great. You got so much marketing. People knew the league. It was great. It was insanely fun. Would have loved to see it get through a full season. Vince McMahon. That's another reason why that league wouldn't be around today. Because if it did stay around, that league probably would have gone under because of Vince McMahon. Because he would have probably still been somewhat involved in that league, being Vince McMahon. I mean, he basically got forced out by, WWE. So, yeah. The Rock is still technically involved in the UFL, but he basically doesn't do anything with it, which I think most people are honestly okay with. The Rock's stock has just, plummeted over the last couple of years, whether it be, the Hawaii earthquake thingy, whether it be WWE itself, or his acting, I should say. The Rock stock has just fallen a lot, so him being kind of a background character is a good thing. It is name recognition for the league. It's a dude who gets paid a unfathomable amount of money by TKO being a board member on him. I've talked about in the past, he's getting a ton of money from him. This league is basically Danny and Moose. Yes, Fox is more involved in it as well, but in terms of the people, it's mainly Danny and Moose. They're the two most involved in the league, and then Fox as well. Vince felt doing a hub at the time would have backlashed badly. It definitely would. I mean, we saw the USFL in 2022. A lot of people hated how it was hubbed, and they didn't even know that in 23 they expanded it for having 3 new home markets, or 2.5. Run up to the left. It is going to be stopped at the line of scrimmage. Going to be 3rd and goal for the Battlehawks. The Renegades, again, I don't know if St. Louis is going to go for a 4th down with a mobile quarterback. You would assume they will. If Arlington can somehow get a stop here and force them to score no points, it would be huge for them. Let's see what St. Louis does here. Biggest thing was attendance growing along with viewership really growing. I agree with Vince being an idiot. Vince McMahon. He'll go down in history. Now, how much of that is good and bad? There's a lot. But he'll go down in history, that's for sure. 3rd and goal. Duggan drops back to throw. Quick throws out to the left. It is going to be tipped and incomplete. Good pass breakup by the Renegades. 4th and goal. Do they go for it or do they take the 3 points? Unironically, I might take the 3 points here. The fact is, Arlington should be above you by at least a touchdown. The fact that you have a chance to get the lead at all is huge, and you get the ball at half, I would take the field goal here. I fully agree with Burley. I would take the field goal, but they're going to go for it. If it works, you look like a genius. If you don't, you look like an idiot. Let's see if they can do it. Again, you have a mobile quarterback. You have the best running back in the league. Should get it. It's 2 yards away. It's just a 1-point conversion. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back. Throws it. It is going to be incomplete to Hakeem Butler. They did not get it. Again, you needed to take the points there. The fact is, Arlington should have scored that first drive. They had a touchdown, got taken away, and they should have had a field goal, and that got taken away because their coach iced their own kicker. So you've been blessed in that sense, and instead of taking advantage of that and getting yourself a nice little 3-0 lead that you should not have, you hurt yourself. That is a mistake. That's like saying if Chris Odom would have gotten the fumble from Manny and would have just kneeled down to, try and help Manny up. Right? You take the points. Okay, it's a messed up example. I apologize. That's a really messed up one, but you know what I'm saying. Take the points. I fully agree with both of you, Steven and Burley. Should have taken the points there. And this is coming from a guy who usually likes going for 4th downs in that scenario. Of course, as I've said, anywhere in the field under a yard, you go for it. That was a 2-yard. That was a 1-point conversion, which in theory should be a freebie. But in that scenario, you needed to kick the field goal, get the points. You have the best kicker in the league. You know he's going to make that kick. Terrible decision not get it. If they lose by 3, it's on that play, and we all know it. Again, people always talk about, 3 points this, 3 points that. We've seen it in the past, like the Bengals in a playoff game a couple years ago, I believe, or it was a regular season game. Sometimes if you don't take the points, it adds up because then the next time you don't get the points, it adds up, right? Like if you then go for it in 4th and 1 later in the game and don't get it in field goal range, now you're left 6 points on the board. Again, Terrible decision. Shouldn't be leaving points on the board. Not when Arlington's been playing the way they have. Let's see. Reply to Anthony Miller. Really should have taken the points. They were lucky that Arlington got 0 points on their first drive. And no, I'm not going to reply to that. Too much work. Not when my keyboard's in such a weird angle, as y'all know. Still, should have taken the points. This could be the Raiders Vikings. Sacramento Surge. I am drinking Sunkist Zero Sugar right now. I fully drank my water. I've got a Sunkist, and I have the classic on this channel's history, Diet Dr. Pepper. Should be sponsored. Maybe if I was a bigger channel, that'd be great. I mean, seriously, the amount of streams I've done, I've been drinking Diet Dr. Pepper probably in like at least like 60% of them. And that might even be low. I mean, it's like I've always said, it's always been my go-to drink. Because, like, for those of you who don't know, the whole thing with diet drinks that a lot of people will say is that because of how they're made, they actually make you eat more than normal sodas do, to where a lot of people actually think it's less healthy for you. I've never had that problem when it comes to diet drinks. I can drink a diet drink or a regular drink, and I'm going to have the same craving for food. So I get the benefit of it being a diet drink without that drawback. It's like going to bed. Like, I'll have, like, a caffeinated drink before going to bed. Like, not like a coffee, but, like, you know, a caffeinated soda. And I'll be fine, you know, going to sleep. Some things I'm lucky, some things I'm not. I got terrible feet that hurt my back and my feet. But you know what? I get to drink diet drinks and not have that issue. President shotgun. They hand it off. It's going to be about a 4-yard gain. Very solid play on the ground for the Renegades. Get out of that terrible field position of being in the end zone. Again, we got 5 minutes left in the half. Arlington has no super challenge, and they're down to 1 timeout. St. Louis still has not even used their super challenge and have 2 timeouts left. The 3-0 game of tag teams. WLAF was truly the league that should have never gone away. NFL got too greedy. Yeah, the World League of American Football. Or yeah, it was the World League of American Football. I mean, hey, at least we have some of those teams back. You know, NFL Europe or whatever it is now, or was. But, you know, you still got a couple teams back for sure. Ball snap, run up the middle. It's going to be a no game. If you're sponsored Dr. Pepper minus Pepsi, it's to the point that my boss is only really cool with me talking about Pepsi since he's a Coke guy. I made sure that he had Coke products. Yeah, Pepsi. I've always preferred Pepsi over Coke. I've always preferred Diet Coke over Diet Pepsi though, but Dr. Pepper, it was the only diet drink I always liked more than the regular one. I don't know what it was. I always liked it more than Dr. Pepper. I've seen a lot of people say that too, but yeah, Pepsi. I've always liked it more than Coke. Definitely is up there in my favorite sodas. Ball snap could have been a false start there. It probably is a false start. Yep, it is a false start. That was a pretty obvious false start. Very obvious false start right there. I was. Well, in the World League of American Football, am I thinking the wrong league? I'm thinking of the wrong league. Oh, that's right. Okay. I'm thinking of the wrong league. I got it mixed up. Or wait, did I? No, the NFL Europe, right? Yeah, I was alive when the NFL Europe was around. I know there's like the WFL or WLF, which was the one that I was not alive for. WFLF. Okay, WFL. World Football League, right? Yeah, World Football League. That one I wasn't alive for. Let's see what they're calling this on the field. They're calling it an incomplete pass. This is going to be 4th down. They're going to have to punt it here. Again, punting in your own end zone is a very, very sketchy, not a thing you want to see, but yeah. I mean, like, I wasn't alive when the league started, but I mean, the league operated, again, as NFL Europe, but the league operated till, like, 2007, right? Yeah, it operated from when it was founded in 91, back when it was the World League of American Football, for the 1 year, then it was the World League for, like, 7-ish years than NFL Europe. So yeah, I mean, if you're just talking specifically World League American Football, yeah. But if you're talking about NFL Europe, I was alive when that was going on. Again, this is going to be a big punt for the Renegades. You are in the end zone. We haven't seen a lot of blocks this season on punts. We've seen a couple on field goals, but punts not as much. Again, this is this sketchy area. This is where a block gets relatively easy. You can either get a touchdown here if you're the defense, or you can block it for a safety and then get the ball back, obviously. Let's see what St. Louis can do here. Especially how close they are, St. Louis should be able to get at least a hand on this if they have a really good punt rush. The King is able to get the punt up, got a quick punt up, and it is going to be returned at the 49-yard line to the 40, to the 35, and he gets tackled at about the 32-yard line. If St. Louis fails to score here, oh man, they're cooked. They should get this. Hometown champs, the Sacramento Surge still have merch. Hey, that's cool having merch from an OG league like that. I love that league. Arlington, 4-7, third down. Hornet Field, Sacramento was packed, 20,000 strong game. What a time. Who is the best UFL uniform? Most people hate my opinion. I think the Renegades are the best when you combine their home and away unis. I love the Panthers away unis, and I like their home a lot. But I think the Renegades, like this jersey, I like this one, and I love their away jerseys. I think that they're the best, followed by Michigan and everybody else behind them. Me personally. Ball is snapped, they hand it off. Gets hit, but gets to about the 30-yard line exact. Houston and Memphis have basically the same uniforms, just different colors. I'm not a fan of either of those unis. Stallions, I think, are okay. DC and St. Louis, I think DC is slightly better than St. Louis, but they're pretty equal to me. And the Brahmas, they're solid. I forgot which one. I always forget which one I really like. I always just forget off the top of my head away or home unis. You're like one of the few teams that isn't just like basic white. But they have one uniform I really like and one that I don't really like. I still remember when you had the Hawaiians as your profile picture. That was a throwback, Steven, having the Hawaiians as your PFP on Twitter. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Looks to his left. Throws it over the middle or to his left. It's going to be incomplete. Good pass breakup on Hakeem Butler right there. I'm viewing the current uniforms. I'm not a huge fan of the Battlehawks current uniforms. I think they're okay, but not, like, incredible. Like, I think the only weak unis are, like, again, I just don't like the design where you have the little, like, goes, like, little trapezoids on Houston and Memphis. Just not a huge fan of those two, personally. Like, I get that there's some people like them. I don't. I guess the best way to put it, I just don't, but yeah. Again, if you're St. Louis here, you better get at least a field goal with that return, but yeah. I wonder if the Roughnecks will move back to the XL Conference and bring back the Breakers and make a new team. If they make a new team, I don't think so. But if they were to just shock us all and, let's say, bring back, you know, the Maulers and the Breakers, I would say, yeah. It's one of those things, though, at this point, it's pretty hard to put them back. Because your time to have done it would have been this season, but you didn't expand. So it's like, are you going to keep them there for 2 years? We'll see. Yeah, the Battlehawks uniform in 2020, I would definitely say is better. Yeah, I would agree with that one. Let me pull it up just to make sure I'm not, like, thinking the wrong ones. 2020 St. Louis. No, not the St. Louis Cardinals. Excuse me, St. Louis Battlehawks unis. Yeah, those are better. Helmets were more dynamic, I would say. Because the jerseys, I don't think are super different. Like, they're different, and I like them better. I like that. It's more of a slick design than the ones right now, but the helmet design, I think, is a lot better. Yeah, the 2020 uniforms were better. I still wouldn't say I was a huge fan of those uniforms either, but I would definitely say they were better than these ones. That's what I would say. NHL, who is winning the NHL game? It is still 1-0 St. Louis over Winnipeg. I need Winnipeg to win that game for my bracket to be look good. I thought it, yeah. Shock us all. Does anyone remember the Sacramento Gold Miners of CFL also have merch? That's wild. CFL, they were like, what was it, the 1 year they had American teams, right? Yeah, like not Birmingham. You had the Memphis Mad Dogs, whatever they called, and you had like a team in Birmingham, I believe, and you had one other one. Let me look that up. CFL American teams. I just wanted to see. There we go. The Sacramento Gold Miners, Las Vegas Posse, the Stallions of Baltimore, the Shreveport Pirates. Forgot about them. San Antonio. Oh, relocated from Sacramento. Barracudas, Memphis Mad Dogs. Yeah, there was a team. I thought there was a team in Birmingham. I didn't remember for sure. Milwaukee. The DC Defenders, Current Spirit 2020. I don't remember the 2020 too much, but we're still waiting for stuff to actually happen. DC Defenders. So I spelled it wrong. 2020. Oh, yeah, the new ones are better. Those are bad unis. Those are like taking basic to a whole nother level. Yeah, the new ones are definitely better than those ones. Oh, yeah, for sure. I start to see why people like the new one so much. Yeah, I see why people like that one so much more now, because those are bad. You know, realistically, what's most likely happening in the expansion? 2 UFL teams, Roughnecks, Expo 1 returning. Realistically, it's going to be a team in Louisville or Ohio, and or both, and then one team being brought back. The Dragons and Breakers are really the only 2 teams that could be brought back at this point, because where the Breakers could play, and Seattle same way. Ball snap, they throw it deep to the right. It is going to be caught for a touchdown by Hakeem Butler, but there is a flag on the field. Let's see who this flag is. That is a touchdown. Could be the first touchdown that stands, but of course the last touchdown we saw did get overturned, though this could be overturned with a flag. But yeah, it should be one new and one old team, but we'll see. Again, I believe it was Moose who came out and said that like the distance doesn't really matter for the expansion, which is why Seattle is a legit option. If one returning team comes back, it's going to be Seattle or New Orleans. Any other team would be a massive surprise. And a new team would most likely be Louisville, Ohio, or possibly Raleigh. Again, I say that as somebody who wants one team in Raleigh, but also some people have been saying that. But yeah. St. Louis wins the hockey game 1-0, and this one 2-0. Max Duggan. Touchdown does stand. They're going to go for 2 here. Let's see what they do here. Duggan is in shotgun. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff. Drops back. Looks to his right. Throws it. Is going to be batted up. Is going to be incomplete. They should have expanded this year. I still stand by it. This year would have been a bad decision, especially with how we've seen this season go. I don't think... yeah, I still wouldn't have done it this year, just because the issue of marketing still sucked and would have gotten even worse with expansion. But overall, the season, in terms of gameplay, especially how the first few weeks have been, like, imagining how it would have been with 2 other teams taking talent from teams, man, we would have had some rough football the first couple of weeks. But they need to expand next year. Like, I know there's some talk they might not. They need to expand next year. Like, that's what I've always said. Even from, like, week 1 of 2023, they needed to expand in 2025 at 2 teams. And if they don't do it, that's bad. That's bad. Being from Sacramento, those teams have a special place in my heart, Lil. It's such a shame it's in California, because like California, New York it's such a shame. They're great markets for TV, but they cost so much damn money to have a team there, and it's, well, LA is hard to have a team there. Sacramento, not as much, but like I mean, in a sense that there's less competition there. But California, New York, it's such a shame it's so hard to have a team there because of the money and the attendance stuff. But I think that Oakland, Sacramento could be options for the UFL. LA, I just don't see it. You have way too many teams in LA. Attendance, odds are it's not going to be good no matter what you do. But that's what I say. Pirates are one of the best identities ever. CFL is one of those leagues I kind of wish I got into, but at the same time, I'm okay that I didn't. Because it would have been just too many leagues. I mean, like, I barely watch the NBA anymore. I think a lot of people agree with that. I haven't even watched the playoff game. I barely even watched the NHL, which, again, I just haven't. That one is just not having time to watch it. I watched more golf than I have the NHL this season. I can't believe that, but I couldn't imagine telling myself that 2 years ago. They're showing his stats in this season. I feel like those stats aren't all from, like, last week. He had 2 receptions, like 150, like 120 yards. Like, that's such a misleading stat line. They're acting like he did that all season. Yeah, he did that last week and tonight. TD Hakeem, just avoid the sideline interview. Again, insane. Well, I thought it was going to be a higher scoring game. This is playing out kind of like I expected it to for both teams. Arlington is in shotgun ball snap. They do a delayed handoff. They run up the middle, but he gets tackled for a massive 5-yard loss. And that was a huge tackle by Travis Feeney. AAF legend, one of those guys has been around spring football for a long time. Again, in my game picks, my reasoning that St. Louis is going to win wasn't because they're a better team, like as an overall team. It was because of the fact that Arlington this whole season has just always failed in the key moments they need to succeed. And this game is a prime example of that. Hand it off, run up the middle. It is going to be a solid 7.5-yard gain. Going to get about half those yards back. Well, those first 2 drives, you had to get points, especially the first drive. The fact they didn't get a single point, insane. They then stopped St. Louis twice, huge, and did nothing with it. If they don't score on this drive, it could be bad. Because remember, St. Louis gets the ball after half. It's a key thing to remember. They are in shotgun. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left, 1 running back to his left in the backfield with him. Ball snap, looks to his left, rolls up, runs up, and he gets sacked again. Another big sack for the Battlehawks. Going to be about a 4-yard loss. Going to force the punt. St. Louis should be calling a timeout here. St. Louis could score again before half. I know a lot of people, for the sake of how funny it would be, would love to see the Vegas Gamblers. Because, like, dude, the league is ESPN is shoving sports betting down our throat. Having a team called the Vegas Gamblers would be absolute peak cinema for this league. That would be hilarious. So I think they'd have to redo the logo. The logo is a classic, but to do it for that, but for this instance, I think that would be fine because it would play into ESPN's thing. You could maybe even have them be a weekly game on ESPN. That would be so funny. I'd love to see that. 4th and 16 for the Renegades. They're going to be punting this ball again. St. Louis could score here. They got 1 timeout. And remember, it is college rules, so the clock stops on first down until the ball is moved. But this is a very deep punt all the way back to about the 20-yard line. Gets turned to the 25, the 30. Gets tackled about the 32-yard line. They're going to have to get a couple big plays, but they have time. We'll see. The NBA is becoming like the MLB, where the only games worth playing in the postseason. The decision to add the play-in was such a dumb idea. Like, dude, the Heat had no business being a playoff team this year. Like, I get it in a sense of it could be a feel-good moment, but, like, no. It's insane that they did it to guarantee that 10 teams in each conference make the playoffs. Like, you already had more than half the teams in the league make the playoffs, but now you have 2/3 of all teams make the playoffs because of that. Like, baseball, when they added their extra playoff team, it was a big deal, but it wasn't, like, insane. The NBA added 4 more teams to the playoffs. Insanely stupid decision. I really hated that move. Pass is thrown to the right. It's going to be caught. He makes the cut, and he gets past the man. He breaks a tackle, gets another first down, and he gets to the 49-yard line, 1 yard shy of the 50. Huge gain for the Battlehawks. Going to stop the clock and let them either spike the ball or do a quick snap. Let's see. Portland is a dark horse town. A CFL game random drew almost 30K in Civic Stadium. OG Breakers did well there, too. I do agree. I think that if they do bring back Seattle, I wouldn't be shocked if they add Portland as an expansion city. There is an injury timeout, or there's an injured player for the Renegades. Battlehawks might get their timeout back. But yeah, the Portland, I would not be super shocked if they got a team there. I know that I don't remember if they're the city that has the issue with the stadium when it comes to there being like one stadium for a lot of teams. But Portland, as an overall place, wouldn't be a bad one for sure. Vegas Gamblers would be cool if that happens. Vipers would be somewhere else. I mean, hey, they could go back to Tampa Bay. See how they would turn out for a UFL team. Like, people like to clown the 20, or not clown, but disregard. They like to not look at the 23 attendance fondly for the Dragons. They forget that the scheduling for that team was horrendous. I remember video after video that I made in the XFL. I explicitly said it was insane how awful the schedule makers were for the Dragons. Like, that was when the Kraken were, like, brand new, and they were competing head-to-head. And it's not like they were doing it on a Saturday night. They would put, like, a Thursday night game at, like, late local, like, 8 o'clock local time, head-to-head against a Kraken game, and thought they'd get good attendance. Like, dude, no. Awful. But yeah, awful. Chris Odom was one who was hurt. He did walk to the sidelines. Hopefully it's good, but we'll see. Duggan is in shotgun. 1 man to his right in the backfield. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. They're about like 10-ish yards away from decent field goal position. Again, they have Hot Rod, best kicker in the league. Pass is caught. It's going to be a first down. They're in field goal range here, and the clock is going to stop here. They should be able to spike this and do 1 more play. Yeah, that scheduling for the Dragons, like, was so bad. I'd never seen a team get scheduled that poorly. I mean, I remember it was game after game after game was just at, like, horrid times. Like, they played on, like, a Thursday, they played on, like, a Friday, they played on, like, a Saturday. It was, like, every day of the week they were playing. It was hilarious. They do spike the ball. Should the NBA get rid of the play-in? Yes. Now, the 8 or 9 seed, I could see that, but I think they should just get rid of it entirely. The 8 seed normally gets their asses handed to them. It's only been like the last couple of years we've had teams like the Heat with Jimmy, basically whatever team Jimmy Butler's on that do well. The play-in, like, if you're a 10 seed, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. That's my thing. There's 15 teams in your conference, and you're 10th or 9th, like, bruh. Felt like Seattle played at least 1 game of the week Once we get to half, I'm going to look that up because that might actually be almost the case. Like, obviously, they didn't play him like Tuesday and Wednesday, but yeah. Pass is thrown. It is batted. Huge bat by the Renegades right there. Again, be safe here. Now, normally you're supposed to kick field goals on third down. For those of you who don't know, you're supposed to kick in this kind of scenario on third down because of the fact that if something goes wrong, you're able to, reset, get another play off. But because of where you are in the field, you're not really able to take that 5-yard or that 7-yard loss from, falling on a kick or falling on a snap. So I do like the decision to call one more play here. Normally, I would say this is a bad coaching move, but because of where you are in the field, I'm actually fine with them doing a play here. Yeah, that is a fun fact. Normally, in this scenario on third down, you're supposed to kick it because if the snap is bad or something, the holder can just fall on it. But because of where they are, they can't really afford to lose, 7 yards. So I like this decision. Just be safe. Don't turn it over. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Quick pump fake. Hand it off. And it's going to be a solid 7-yard gain. Big play for the Battlehawks. Milk this clock down to about 1 second. Arlington has no timeout because of the injury. So that means St. Louis is going to kick this ball with 1 second left. Let's see if Hot Rod can stay perfect. Vegas Gamblers would be cool, but so would reviving a few original UFL teams and maybe an AEF San Diego team, but with the UFL Virginia team, San Diego destroys dead of the fleet. I would love to see Omaha. I know we talked about it earlier. Omaha Nighthawks would be cool to see back. That would be a great team to bring back. AEF teams would love to see some of those AEF teams back. This might be the Renegades' worst game so far. Yeah, this is going to compete with that Roughnecks game for sure as just rough to watch for them. You really could. The fact that they are going to be losing this game at least by 6 points is insane. They should be winning this by at least 12. Instead, they're going to be losing by at least 6, maybe 9. 48-yard field goal attempt. Hot Rod is perfect. 12 of 12 this season. Can he make this kick? It is a 48-yarder. It is nowhere near a gimme. 4th and 3. Let's see if he can make the kick. Kick is up, and it is drifting a bit to the left, but it is a good kick. He is perfect on the season. It is a 9-0 lead St. Louis over Arlington. You can make a logo of Nevada with a star in the corner where Vegas is located. Okay. So while we're here, let's go to the new tab. Let's look at the 2023 XFL season. So let's see. Actually, I need to do this. This would be much easier on myself. Seattle Sea Dragons 2023 season. Wow, okay, so that is not what I... Okay, let's see. Sunday. Then they played on a Thursday. Now, this one was at home on Thursday. So their opening game was on a Thursday. Wow. Is that... Okay, that's Pacific time. That's what I thought. So this is 8 p.m. for us, or for Eastern, but... So Thursday, then their next home game was on a Saturday. Then it was back to Thursday. Then they played on a Saturday and a Friday. That was a wed. And they played a Sunday. So it was still not as bad as I remembered it being, but still pretty bad overall. Again, a Thursday home game was rough. Twice. 2 Thursday home games. 7:30 local time. For Pacific, that is such a late game. That is insane. Yeah. I mean, look at this. 10K attendance for that. Then it went all the way up to 15. Plummeted to 9K because of that. Back to a solid 12K number. I mean, like, come on. That was some bad decision making right there. Bryson. Oh. Bryson Elaine X. I said I was going to pull this up, so. Okay, what in the hell is coming up? This is not what I asked for. So, for those of you who don't know, this was a big storyline. Yeah, this is not showing me what I want, but it is what it is. Okay, so, you know what? F this. We're just not finding it, I guess. I'm going to try and find it real quick. I just got to go to his profile. So, let me pull up one of these. So, Bryson Elaine was in the spring football news with what he was doing this past weekend, or this past week, with regards to what he was posting on Twitter, talking a lot about the Brahmas and the whole time he was with them. It was a really weird thing to watch. So, yeah. Profile, post, reposted. Okay, I gotta go back here. Bryson Elaine. Okay, I forgot that's why I couldn't find it. Okay, then. There we go. So let me pull this up. I'll talk chat in a second, and then let me just pull this game up real quick. Wrong thing. There's the right thing. So we're going to put this to the Bryson Elaine X thing. So I know this might be a bit harder to see, but let's move this to here. That look a bit better. Yes, it does. Nice, nice, nice. You make a logo of Nevada with the star in the corner where Vegas is located. That would be a good idea for sure. Renegades had their chance. Insane they're losing this game. Seattle was the only team to play every non-weekend games, 23 season, 2 Thursday and 1 Friday, which is wild. Yeah, the scheduling is definitely bad that year. Dang, Battlehawks getting 2 scores. Hey, and they get the ball at half. Huge for them. Besides the Monday game between the Roughnecks and the Defenders, what can Carolina do to come back? I'm down bad right now. Has Luis become too predictable? Yeah, play better football. It's been the whole season, like, the Birmingham game, the Houston game, even the DC game. Like, they'll get these opportunities, they'll get in the red zone, and then instead of actually scoring, they'll just fumble or they'll take a bad penalty. Like, it's one thing to have, like the fumble against the Stallions. It's another thing to take a terrible false start or, like, a shift or a delay of game. Again, you have an OC, a head coach, and a quarterback that have been together for over this is their, second year in the UFL exclusively. They've been together before that. Yet you're not getting plays called and getting the line of scrimmage fast enough. Like, that's inexcusable. It's insane how they've been this season. They easily could be 5-0, but they've made a lot of mistakes. Like, the penalties in the Birmingham game clouded the fact that they played that game poorly. It's the big reason I made the video. It wasn't just because of the penalty at the end of the false start. It's because they played horrid football in that game. That penalty should have never mattered, but they played poorly. Last week, Ajeen Harris gets this magnificent interception off this horrific Teamu throw. And instead of doing something on offense, they do nothing on offense, and the defenders get the ball back, and they score and win the game. It's insane. So, the Bryson Elaine stuff. This was a lot. He talked about a lot of this yesterday. So, he talked a lot about it. So, he, of course, for those of you who don't know, he was on the Roughnecks. Then he went to the Brahmas, and he was on... he did a lot here. So, there's a lot of stuff. He's been tweeting a lot the past few days. So, you belong in the league. So, this is from James Baker, who's really started saying, you belong in the league, man. I don't know how the phone isn't ringing. Been ready whenever they are. I ain't never speak on how San Antonio did me last season for the first year of the UFL merger, but man, God don't like ugly, and he don't play about me. Crazy to see how the season is unfolding for him. In the pro sports world, we harp on how business is business, and then proceed to make it look personal, and look sideways when people take it personal. So he then starts talking about it a bit later. Been a year since I got time to speak on it. Tough to see how this year's unfold. Playmakers, math ain't math, and blah, blah, blah. Ultimate won the battle. Talking about stuff. Right. To preface, this is the same staff that called me not to entertain teams during private workouts in the XFL season in 23. Same staff that drafted me in Houston. Again, Wade Phillips, AJ Smith, those guys. Then San Antonio, same thing. Drafted in 23, told expectations and role was, and I told to earn my keep. Normal came in. That was not the case for the first 2 weeks of camp and probably should have been cut. Moved from RB to a receiver to battle out with another RB with the same skill set. Ultimately won the battle by mid-end camp. I was back at RB making plays, showing up film, special teams, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to this 23 XFL season. Solidified his place in the league. Was on Sports Center. Was a PFF graded, top guy or overall team offensive player. Graded rusher. Again, pretty solid overall at that point. Then he talks about during the merger, it was communicated to me what my role would be and what the plans were in store for me. Going to year 2, I was one of their guys, quote unquote, wherever the staff want. Ultimately, ended up being one of 3 backs in the top 10 2025 or 2023 PFF graded rushers reclaimed for the UFL. So PFF, again, I've talked about PFF. I'm not fully behind everything they say in terms of being like the gospel, but it's a pretty big deal, all things considered. Make sure I'm doing this right. Reminded every day about how that he was one of the guys and his family, which is funny because about how pro ball ain't like that. Then in week 7 of 2023, he's in meetings going over my portfolio. Come in minicamp, Browns call me mid-meeting, so I make it top 10. It's talking about going back in time. Stuff, heavy running back, blah, blah. Go over here. 4 running backs during camp. I was the only one who was in my second year with the staff. So again, he's the guy that came back, which usually is a big thing for you and gives you a lot of advantage. However, my rep count was the lowest every day. I'm like, okay, I already know the offense. They're just trying to catch up everyone. Again, very solid thing to understand. If you're in his position, you think that does make sense. You know the offense. You know the playbook better than these other new guys. Not too shocking, not get too many snaps. Think I had 3 to 5 snaps. I had one 30-yard score in joint practice versus Houston during camp. I'm like, okay, we got action. It's a joint John, low snaps to give me. After that joint practice, I went a week with one touch in practice, like legit touched the ball one time. And at this point, now he's starting to question what's going on. Things are going wrong. Camp over, officially make the team. Cool. On to game one. Last practice, before game one, the OC sends the RB coach to grab 2 RBs to speak with, and they were not him. And then they told him who was starting, who was splitting reps. Never got told anything. Again, the one guy coming into year 2 was not even told what his role was. Week 1 snaps, talks about his RB coach. Hey, man, what's going on? Did I do something wrong? No answer. Week 2, 0 snaps. Oh, yeah, man, I see. And I don't know really what's OC with rotation, basically trying to blame AJ Smith at that time in a sense. Going into week 3, the OC hasn't spoken to me in 4 weeks in a row now. It's clear as day, but man, as someone with a pretty good relationship, I'd say, with the staff, it would only make sense for there to be some sort of communication. So at this point, he's basically complaining. The fact is, he's about halfway through the season. He's basically not been talked to whatsoever by any of the offensive staff. Again, as I talked about before, the Brahmas always felt like they were a Wade Phillips and an AJ Smith team. That got kind of reinforced this season with AJ Smith leaving because of issues with Wade and how the offense was run. And in the end, Wade isn't even here right now, but kind of what happened. Mind you, legit every week in camp in the first weeks of the season doing installs. All the install film of me is from the previous year. Big plays, positive yards, O-line. And then O-line room and even RBs come to me like, damn, your film was tough last year. When are we going to see you do it? They don't give me any reps. Never at the point, so blah, blah. Going into week 3, spoke to the RB coach again, let him know the frustration. Spoke to the GM, how they convey thoughts to the OC. GM says he doesn't know and that they overall want me to be a special teams guy. Pretty whack. Pre-game during Game 3, I approached the OC. My exact words, I don't know what's been going on or not communicated to me, but let me spin. Mind you, the starter was hurt, so basically I'm next in line. We bring another RB for depth in the same week. 3 carries, week 3, since RB1 went down. I should be next man up. I come back to the sideline, and the new RB is like, damn, bro, you almost got me in trouble. I'm like, huh? He said the OC told him he was short yard backup again, telling every role except for me. So basically, Elaine almost got blamed, or basically got blamed for something that he shouldn't have been blamed for because he had no idea what was going on. So again, more poor stuff by the Brahmas coaching staff. Game 3 over, getting on the bus, approach OC again. When are you going to be free this week? I need to talk. Talk about it. He said nothing from the year before mattered to him. However, I still haven't spoken or given a role of reps at all. Asked him what he hasn't seen from me, what I need to get reps, and blah, blah. Good spirits, take advantage of week 4, 1 carry. Week 5 comes. Our wide receiver coach, now the OC in 2025, is like, hey, man, you're my guy until you're down and not usually self. I explain the situation. They sit down RB1, RB2 starts, assuming I'm RB3. RB4 gets me in, and now he's pissed. So he should have been stepped up. Instead, he got stuck in the same area, and a guy that was behind him got above him. My last game was versus Arlington, if I'm not mistaken, got 1-3 carries. RB4 got 10 to 15 carries. Blah, blah. 3 days later, May 1st, get the text, hey, come to the office, and this is basically when he gets cut. And this is the big one with Tom Flacco, right? You can ask anyone. Flacco was a problem in practice, played QB, DB, wide receiver. QB1 gets hurt. He expects more practice time, so they bring in Hogan, who plays over Flacco, and Flacco's the same questions. Both him and I get released the same week. And he's done amazing. Point 1, never given a fair shake. Number 2, the UFL is not a league of opportunities. Now, this I disagree with. When you look at the guys who have been into the NFL from the UFL, most of it, like if you were on a practice squad for one offseason, I do not count that as, oh, you were an NFL guy. Jay Sternberger, that's an NFL guy. But guys like Dondre Tillman, Jalen Redmond, Jake Bates, they had like a slight offseason with one team, and that was it. Those are the guys that have made the most impact in the NFL. So I do fully disagree with this about how it's portrayed, that NFL bounce back players, all you got are NFL. Like, that's not true. Again, you being on a practice squad during the offseason training camp for about like 4 weeks to the preseason, that's not being an NFL guy coming right back, in my opinion. An NFL guy is somebody who's been bouncing around for a few years or has actually played. And so far, most of the guys have come. But on this other side, yeah, never given a fair shake of opportunities. If what he's saying is even halfway true, it is a horrid look for mainly AJ Smith, right? Looks awful for AJ Smith. Looks overall bad for the Brahmas coaching staff and the league as a whole. So it's important to note that, this is coming from one side of the story, but when you also see AJ Smith, of course, no longer with the team, leaving because of apparent frustrations and issues with Wade Phillips and all that, it ain't a good look. And a lot of that is true, right? We saw guys get hurt, go down, and then we saw newcomers like Anthony McFarland, like Kevin Hogan, get playing time above guys who were already there. So that begs the question, why were they even there? So, we're still in halftime. We're about out of it, but figured I should talk about that because this was really I would say it wasn't like a massive story, but it was a pretty big deal. Again, Elaine has been talking a lot this season about wanting to go back into playing football. Hasn't gotten talked to. Spent basically 2 days talking about it. Pretty big deal right there. So, yeah. Again, it's pretty wild stuff right there, but that's what I would say. I mean, it's a pretty wild stuff that was said right there. It's a lot right there, but yeah. Let's see. Trying to see that. I'm seeing a couple of good logos. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of these ones. These are definitely pretty good logos. I just saw a couple of them. A couple of those look pretty. So I don't know if they're exact ones I was supposed to look at, but there's a couple good ones there. I mean, there's a lot you could do with that name. You don't have to do the exact same design with the Houston or with the Houston Gamblers, but yeah. Okay, so now it is time for the half to start again. The Battlehawks are getting the ball. They have a big lead. Yeah, seems Wade kind of lost control or screwed up. That's not a good look. Yeah, mainly for AJ Smith, though, because he was the OC that is being talked about. Rush is up to about the 27-yard line. Like, he's not explicitly saying who it is, but, like, there's only been one OC under Wade Phillips that was in both Houston and San Antonio. So the way he made it out it makes AJ Smith look really bad. Like, way to a point, but if it's like I think it is, where it was clearly two sides run by two different people, that's a horrible look for AJ Smith and can kind of give credence to why he wouldn't have been given the head coaching opportunity that, of course, Peyton Pardee has now been given. But, again, how much of it is true? Don't know. You know, there's always three sides of the story, and then there's, you know, the truth. Deep pass to the left, it is going to be incomplete, just a bad throw, wasn't even catchable. But even if it's like 25% true, it's still a bad look for AJ Smith and them. Not being told anything, having everybody else in a play you're involved in being told something and you're not, and then it could screw somebody else over is absolutely insane. Like, that's wild. That's what I'd say. Pretty insane. Coach Pop, forgot about that. Greg Popovich is stepping away from head coach. Pretty big deal. Duggan drops back to throw. Throws it deep to the right. It is going to be a little bit high. Again, it was a very solid pass. Just wasn't able to get it. Incomplete. Pete Alonso with a home run. Love to see. They're going to retweet that. But yeah, I think that it was definitely wild for sure. Man, Rodrigo Blankenship's definitely going to be the next kicker to go, like, to the NFL. He's just been so good this season. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back. And he's going to be sacked. Big sack for the Renegades, forcing a punt. Again, they needed to do that. They could not let St. Louis score 3 straight drives. Huge 3-and-out for the Renegades defense right there. Love to see that. Not just wild, ignorant. It really is insane. I mean, like, again, we don't know if it's the full truth, but we haven't really heard anything from AJ Smith after leaving the team. Right. Every other coach that has left this season, we know exactly why. AJ Smith is still, like, to an extent, speculation. Like, technically Wisenhunt is, but we all know kind of what it is. But it is a bad look for AJ Smith. It really is. Not telling one of your few guys that came back from year 1 to year 2 to your team is just insane. Punt is up. It is going to be returned at about the 30-yard line. Tries to cut left and fakes it. Goes right. Goes straight. Gets to about the 36-yard line. About a 6-yard return. St. Louis 1 of 4 on third downs. One of those kind of games. At least, hey, it can't be as bad as a certain team last week. San Antonio 1 of 10. What a stat line. I have a few coworkers who are sports fans but doesn't like the UFL, and they asked me some hypothetical games that I'm curious how you think would go. First is Stallions versus Eagles Super Bowl, and I mean, we all know the Eagles would beat them. I mean, like, look, we all know the UFL in terms of overall play would be better than pretty much every college team, specifically because they're grown men playing against, you know, like, early 20-year-olds. But when it comes to the NFL, yeah, the Eagles would dominate them. As for the Titans, It's one of those where if you played 10 games, I think Birmingham wins more than one. I don't know if they're going to win, 6 or 7, but I think they're going to win more than one. Because when you get to that level, like the Titans played some bad football, and pre-benching Young, that would be tough, but the best UFL team would probably be able to win like 2 of 10 matches, maybe 3 of 10 games against the worst NFL team, I would say. I think it's a pretty safe area to say, right? Because talent-wise and overall play-wise, we all kind of agree that like the best team last year, the Stallions, was much better than the Showboats. But we all know in 10 games, Memphis would beat them once. It just happens. It's football. I would say that. I'd say the college is more of an interesting one because I know a lot of people would think that, like the national championship team would dominate the UFL championship team when in all honesty, it's probably the other way around. Because of the fact that one team is full of grown men who've been playing football for a while, one team is full of a lot of guys who are not going to go play. Like, just because you win the national championship does not mean you're going to be drafted first in the first round, right? Like, when you have more than, 5 guys get drafted in the first round, it's a mega deal, obviously. So, it is its own level of football, right? It's clearly below the NFL, and it's clearly above college football. And I think a lot of people don't want to fully agree with either of those takes, but if you want to be a realist, that's kind of the realist perspective. It's better than college football in terms of would they beat them? Yes. Is it better than the NFL? No. But I mean, yeah, I don't think too many people would be shocked. It's just some people wouldn't want to do that. While we're in commercial break, MLB stats. I want to see where Pete Alonso is ranking right now because I just saw he was like NL Player of the Month. Not too shocked. I know he's been playing really solid, but still. Pete Alonso, 28 RBIs. Okay, so he's tied for 4th right now. Love to see that. Love to see that. Again, St. Louis is coming back in time possession. They're now only down by 3 minutes to Arlington. So, massive comeback for them when it comes to time possession. They were doing really, really poorly, but now looking pretty solid. Like to see that for them. Definitely like to see that. Solid for them. But let's see what they can do here for the Renegades. Got to do something here. Again, they should have scored multiple times so far. They just haven't. 13 minutes left in the third quarter. Perez is in shotgun. Running back to his right in the backfield. 2 receivers out to his left, 2 to his right. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Quick throw over the middle of the field. It is caught up to the 50. Gets to about the 41-yard line in St. Louis territory for the big first down play for the Renegades. Javonte Payton with the big play there. The fact that Arlington is up to 12 sacks this season after how poor they started. I mean, what was it? They had 2 or 3 sacks the first 3 weeks of the season, then this St. Louis game happened. They got a decent amount there, and since then they've had almost double-digit sacks. It's actually wild. 1st and 10 for the Renegades. They are 1 yard shy of the 45-yard line in St. Louis territory. Ball is snapped. Slightly delayed handoff to Kalen Ballage, who runs up to the right, who gets tackled for maybe a 2-yard gain, but there is a flag. This might be an offensive penalty, judging by when the flag was thrown, but let's see. Holding on the offense. Going to be a 10-yard penalty for him. I think they were surprised that I said the Eagles because they were ready to go against me, thinking I would say the Stallions is a more sport in the UFL and never get a chance. Hey, the best way to be a fan is to be truly objective about it. If they ask you, would they beat, the Michigan team from 2 years ago or the Ohio State team from last year, they would. Because the best team in the UFL should beat the best team in college, just when you consider the age difference and overall talent. A lot of the talent in the college is about the same, but NFL is a different story. Run up the middle for a 1-yard gain. Not a huge fan of that play call right there. Again, Kalen Ballage is hurt, so I understand it might be a bit of a shocker to actually run it with Dante Hunter. And Ballage is still being treated on the sideline. Not in the tent, but he's on the sideline. But you're at 1st and 20, and you do a run play. Only get about 2 yards, not even, or barely 2 yards. 2nd and 18, that's a pretty tough hole to climb out of right there. So, not a massive fan of that, but maybe it works out for him. You never know. Second and 18. Ball is snapped. Perez drops back. Quick throws it to the right. It's going to be caught. Tries to make a move, but isn't getting anything. Gets about 6 yards. Now, when I say this, I don't follow the CFL too much, but I know the CFL has a whole thing about how many Americans being on a team. I would assume in terms of talent versus talent, the UFL on average probably would beat a CFL team because of the fact that the UFL is a lot more players that will go to the NFL or have been to the NFL than CFL teams do. So I would imagine the UFL team, again, it also depends on if you're saying CFL rules versus UFL rules because, CFL, different field, different down system. But overall, the UFL teams, in theory, should be better than CFL teams, in theory. Ball is snapped, Perez drops back to throw. Throws it to his right. It is going to be intercepted by the Battlehawks. Gets to the 45, and he gets tackled out of bounds about the 47-yard line. Big interception. That was a pretty easy read for the DB. Got a nice interception. Jumped around a little bit early. Or, jumped it really solid. Bad throw by Perez right there. Again, Perez just has not been as good as he was last year. He's still been a better quarterback in the league, but he has been nowhere near as dominant as he was last year. Showing that throw again, it was a pretty decently easy read to see. The DB got the interception, and St. Louis is almost in field goal position already. Massive play for the Battlehawks defense right there. Bad for Perez. St. Louis score here could make it really tough. Again, if you score here, what exactly do you go for again? Because if you score a touchdown right, you're up 15. Do you go for 3 and try to make an insane, 18-0 lead? Again, probably just going to go for 2 to get to 17, but we'll see what they end up doing. Overall, though, insane for them. What an insane sequence so far. Let's see what's being posted on Twitter. So, pretty much nothing, but yeah. Let's see what's trending now. Some dude in boxing is trending that I've probably never heard of. Oh, okay, it's Ryan Garcia. I have heard of him. After the false. Okay. Hellybook is trending, not surprised. It's like what Adam said earlier, they're not playing good right now. Hey, look at, okay, that's the first thing I just saw when I popped up. That's hilarious. Kaka, Lil Kim, not shocked. Kaka, 4-man, not shocked. Again, massive interception. Like, when you talk about quarterbacks, it's been like Bryce Perkins here, like Perez and Teamu like here, and then like everybody else. Why does Perez look so baffled? You threw a shit pass, bro. Dude, true. I thought he was like complaining it wasn't a turnover, it looked like. Or not a turnover, a penalty. And it's like, for what? Like, yeah, that was a bad throw. I fully agree with that. He looked so just, oh man. He was probably hoping to be like a roughing the passer penalty or something. I mean, yeah, he just hasn't been as good as he was last year. And I know a lot of the defenses have improved since last season, but it just hasn't. What's wrong with NFL fans must be the brand they like, not true football fans. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to spring football and NFL fans, it is wild they don't watch the UFL as much as they should. It's like, dude, if you're watching, like, especially people like buy Red Zone to watch like every game during the week. Like, if you're buying to watch like 4 games at the same time, like, bro, you don't care how good the football is at all because you're sitting watching like a Jaguars. I was gonna say Jags Chargers, but that's like 4 years ago. That's a good I can't talk right now. I've spoken too much. I can't talk about it. But like, it's watching like the Panthers play the Titans. Like, dude, if you're watching that, come on. Yeah, I hate when people trash on college ball. I mean, like, dude, it's just, yeah, ball is snapped. They pitch it to the left. It's going to be tackled, about a 2-yard gain for the Battlehawks. Like, college football in the UFL, there's so many times where NFL games just go on way too long, and it feels like I'm watching an NBA game where, like, the last 2 minutes take 8 years. Like, college football and UFL, because of how their clock system works, especially the UFL, like, you know what you're getting into when you watch a game, and it makes for a very enjoyable experience. Like, when you see a game legit go on for over 3 hours, you're like, whoa, this is a long game. Whereas, like, NFL, like, you expect a game that starts at 1 and not ends till, like, 4:30. Duggan is under center. He fakes the handoff. He's going to try and throw it, but he gets sacked again. He takes another bad sack. It's like a 6-yard sack. Kalen Ballage is going to the Locker room not good for the Renegades, but Duggan taking another bad sack. He can't do that. This Renegades pass rush, this is now 2 for 2 for them, where they have just annihilated this Battlehawks O-line. They did it 2 weeks ago against them in the first game. They're doing it again. 13 sacks on the season. They're just dominating St. Louis when it comes to that. 4 sacks on the day for Arlington, and we still have over 20 minutes of football left. Duggan is in shotgun, ball snapped, drops back, he throws it, and it is going to be an incomplete pass. They are going to be forcing a punt. And what should have been at least a field goal, the Battlehawks are going to be forced to punt it. College ball is probably the most exciting form of football. I would say so. Like, that Baylor-Colorado ending was insane. When you have, like, the whiteout game at, like, Penn State, when you have the games at Michigan-Ohio State rivalry, like, when you have people going to random sporting events being like, it's been, like, 1,862 days since Ohio State beat Michigan, you're like, damn, like, you've got a fan base. Like, I've seen people in Europe talk about it who, like, are soccer fans. College football is the only thing in America that rivals European soccer when it comes to absolute fanfare and, like, the culture of it, where it's, like, it's fully ingrained. Because for those of you who don't watch soccer in Europe, like, when you are a fan of a team, it's like a lifestyle, and it's like college football. Like, if you're a true super fan of a team, like, it's insane. So, translates to the field as well. I mean, it's like I've always joked about. I fall asleep on NFL Sundays at 2 p.m., greatest time in the world to fall asleep in. Never have that problem with college football or the UFL. Always have it with the NFL. It just is what it is, right? The classic greatest saying of all time. It is what it is. Let's see. Dare I say, James Larson is saying Holton Allers should come in at quarterback. Oh, no. You don't want to see one of your insiders say something like that. Still can't believe he iced his own kicker. I know it's been, like, legit almost half an hour of game time. I still can't believe Stoops iced his own kicker. That is hilarious. Yeah, that's got to be an all-time bad moment for any coach here. Especially the people I was talking about earlier. It's a mix of trying to get a reaction from me and not giving the UFL a fair shake. But when I'm talking about it, they like to call me, it's fake NFL. Like, dude, they say fake NFL acting like you haven't had so many NFL games that are just, like, so awful to watch. It's like, come on. Like, there's so many, like, people, it's like I talked about before. Like, back when we had the really bad games in the UFL. The NFL is so many games that the average person will never see because there's, like, 6 games going on at the same time that you can hide the bad games. But when you're, like, in the UFL, every bad game gets seen by everybody watching. But, like, there'll be so many NFL games where it's, like, a 30-point blowout, a 25-point blowout, a 3-6 game or something like that, that only people who watch that team see. So, it's not really a big deal. Like, the NFL, man, it's better than the NBA and it's better than the MLB. I'll say that. I'll still watch it. I'll still follow it. But when it comes to watching games, man, never fell asleep during a golf tournament. Have for an NFL game. I watch NFL Red Zone. Now, that's a good... I mean, hey, if you got those multiple games on, I know it can probably be a fun experience. But for me, it's just not the same. This game is crushing me. This is absolutely insane how this is going for the Renegades. I mean, this is just bad. I mean, like, this is going to be one of those games where it's just like Houston. It's just like Birmingham. It's just like DC last week. Once you eliminate week 1, like, I know Houston fans want to say if you eliminate week 1, Arlington is the same way. If you eliminate their week 1 game, it has been just poor football from them in a technical aspect every week. They're playing these games. The defense does all they can to win the game. They let up this last drive, and then people blame the defense. If the defense allows a game-winning drive, but the final score is 12-10, that's not on the defense. That's on the offense. Fake the handoff. Perez drops back, throws it. Fakes throw, throws it. It's going to be caught. Gets to the 30. Gets to the 35. Gets tackled at about the 38-yard line. Really solid play right there. But it's like, dude, the Renegades offense has been so just not great this year. I don't know if I should worry about my Battlehawks offense. It might just be the Renegades pass rush. I mean, this is one of the... Despite not being good the first couple weeks, once they got Taco Charlton, it was like that just that injection right into their veins. and they're just lighting it up. And this is now 2 games for your team where they've just been annihilating you in pass rush. It could just be a bad matchup for that, but overall, you're still winning 9-0 in a game you really shouldn't be. And I mean, hey, we'll see what Arlington does. I worked for 16 years in a company full of soccer fans, guys from Costa Rica and other places. Soccer is absolutely huge outside and inside the U.S. and inside really the U.S. Fans. I mean, it is insane. Soccer fandom, like, if you don't know soccer fandom, it's insane. Like, when you watch, like, a Real Madrid or a Man City game and you see them in, like, this away team where it's this team that you know they're going to win by, like, 3. You know Man City is going to dominate. Holland's going to get a hat trick. And you see this crowd fully out there all wearing the exact same color shirt just like in college. You're like, man, it's a lifestyle. Yeah, I felt the Renegades are a bit overrated. I put him at 2 specifically because I just have this Battlehawks are going to be using a super challenge. They're saying that it was going to be a lineman going downfield. Let's see. Like, it's like I said, I think that it's so hard to pick a really great team in the UFL because even the defenders aren't like this dominant 4-1 team. They just happen to be 4-1. The Stallions have so many issues. The Panthers have so many issues. The Battlehawks have so many issues. The Renegades have so many issues. The Houston Roughnecks are starting to look pretty good compared to a lot of other teams. It's just really insane. The refs making sure Beck gives a number. It is wild, but they have to do it. It is great. But overall, not good. Challenge is unsuccessful for him. So 2 challenges, neither of them ended up working. I'm in Missouri, so Chiefs all day, but yeah, NFL is another bracket. NFL is definitely something else. They're showing glimpses of greatness, but I don't know. If they got the championship, I don't know if they'll win it, and if they'll win. I mean, let me say it. Ball is snapped, handed off, and is going to be called down. Let's see what this is. Might be a false start penalty or a timeout's called. But yeah, when it comes to it's just any team could really win the championship this year, aside from maybe the Brahmas. It's just like when you actually look at it, like there's no team that is flawless. Even DC, like the fact that they won that game against Arlington is insane. Teamu is going to be the reason this team loses at some point. How he plays is not going to win you playoff football. Throwing terrible interceptions like that. Like he's just literally, like he is like Jameis Winston in the UFL. He's just ripping it. He is like no care in the world how close it is to anybody. Like he's just throwing it. And it's like, F it, we ball kind of deal. Prez hands it off on first down. The Battlehawks missed the tackle, but are still able to stop him, only gaining about half a yard. It's insane. NFL's storyline is soap opera. It really is Days of Our Lives between the white lines. Yeah, they make all these big stories, but I mean, hey, it kind of helps when you're this huge league that everybody covers. But I mean, it's like people are joking about, like everybody knows every single Shedeur Sanders game, if he ends up starting, is going to be Shedeur is playing a team that passed him on the draft and that should have drafted him. Shedeur is going into his revenge game. Or it's like you hear that every single week. It's always somebody's revenge game, somebody's homecoming. It's insane how it is for sure. Little bit of a shell pass by Perez. It is going to be about a 3.5 yard gain for the Renegades. It's going to be about 3rd and 6 here. Can't wait for the Steelers saga this year. Ain't that the truth? Steelers are always going to be fun. NFL has earned the right. Don't get me wrong. It's just not for me anymore. It's a lot of rule changes as well. Like when they're banning things like the hip drop tackle for safety, it's like, are you really? Because you're contemplating adding an 18th game, but the hip drop tackle is where you draw the line. Or like you're shelving the tush push. The tush push has no injury issues. All the data backs that up. Yet you're still thinking about shelving it for safety? Stop the cap. Ball is snapped. That might be close to a false start, but they throw it over the middle. It is going to be caught for a first down, tackled at about the 49-yard line in St. Louis territory. The Showboats are the Athletics. I mean, hey, the Athletics are starting to spend money now that they're conveniently out of Oakland. Funny how that works. But I would assume probably the Showboats, because baseball, it's just, if you're not the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, it's hard to get that money, but we'll see now they're in Vegas, or going to be in Vegas, I should say. Going to see this penalty again. Penalty on the Renegades. Another bad penalty. This is what's been hurting them so hard. Just bad penalties. That was a clear penalty. 4 penalties tonight for Marcus Minor. Bro thinks he's the DC Defenders guy. I forgot his name. If who I'm talking about, I forgot his name. Somebody remember. Adam, do you remember that guy? DC Defender from last year. Classic guy. Great game he had. Perez is in the backfield by himself. They are in 5 wide here. 3rd and 20. Motioning one receiver from the right to the left. Having 4 receivers on the left side of the ball. Ball is snapped. Quick little screen pass. And he gets tackled for a 1-yard loss. Huge break for the Battlehawks because of that bad penalty. And it's going to force a punt for Arlington. As an avid hater of the Eagles, I'm fine with the tush push. Like, dude, it's so true. Like, just because you're not good with it, or good at it, doesn't mean you need to ban it. Like, that's the truth. It's because all these other teams try to do the tush push, and they can't do it, and they're jealous. The Bills, the Packers, like, just get good. Just stop it. You know what I mean? Like, just stop the play, Just don't be bad. Skill issue. You know what I mean? Ball bounces to the 20. It's taking a pretty good Renegades bounce. Bounces all the way to the 9-yard line. There is a flag, however. Let's see what this flag is. Jean Delance, I knew you would remember. Classic. That guy had an incredible game for the Brahmas. Now, note, he played on the Defenders, but he had a great game for the Brahmas that Week 1 game last year. I forgot about that name. That was a great game he had for the Brahmas on the Defenders. Hey, I'm back. Well, I've been at work. What I miss? The Battlehawks should be losing by about 12 points. The Renegades had an immaculate 8-minute opening drive. Then they had a touchdown. Got overturned because the receiver was out of bounds. Then they were kicking a field goal. Bob Stoops was trying to challenge that touchdown. That got reviewed. The ref said you can't do that, so they let him keep his challenge, and they re-kicked it. Note, he made the kick the first time, but he missed it the second time, meaning that Stoops inadvertently iced his own kicker. Then the Battlehawks offense did nothing, went 3 and out. The Renegades got another great drive, took bad penalties, and then didn't score again. And the Battlehawks scored in back-to-back drives at the very end of the first half. And now it's 9-0 after they just got a big interception and are forcing a punt. Another flag. Returns up to the 40-yard line, up to the 45, and he gets tackled out of bounds about the 47-yard line. Yeah, he iced his own kicker because he was going to challenge his receiver, wasn't out of bounds, but that's exactly what got reviewed. So, why do it? Yeah. Roughing the kicker on the Battlehawks. Automatic first down. So now the Renegades are getting a huge break themselves because the Battlehawks got a terrible penalty there. Let's see. Yeah, he just dove head first, trying to get the block. Wow, that was not a good one for the Battlehawks right there. What is that? That's wild. A lot of flags thrown. Yes, there's been a lot of flags this game for sure. Love when the Chiefs do the ring around the rosy and mess with the opposing team. That was insane. What the Chiefs were doing until that Eagles game and what they did the last couple of years is pretty wild. And the Bills, that's a skill issue right there. Bills can't beat the Chiefs. Renegades are cooked, honestly. Yeah, this is a big game for the Battlehawks. Like I said, the Battlehawks needed this win more than Arlington because Arlington winning this game would make it very difficult for St. Louis to actually make the playoffs. But a St. Louis, because remember, DC, from what I've been told and what I've seen other people say, is not able to host a playoff game this season. So you just make the playoffs, and so does DC. You get the home game, right? So if you're St. Louis, you need that playoff game, and then you get another home game, potentially as the 2 seed. Come on, you need that. So, yeah. First down rush gets about 2 yards for the Renegades. Going to be 2nd and 8 with 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter. I thought I opened this. I guess I didn't. Fake the handoff, almost got sacked. Perez is going to run for it. He runs for about a 1.5 yard gain. That might have been the slowest I've ever seen a quarterback run. Even by Perez standards, he was just barely even jogging there. That was insane. Third and 7 for the Renegades. Again, not having a great game overall. Yeah, old man Perez. That was a pretty sad run right there. One of the sadder ones I've ever seen. In shotgun, one man to his left in the backfield. And it's going to be a delay of game penalty. Like I said earlier in this game, you have an OC head coach and QB combo that was here last year. There is no excuse to take this many delay of game, illegal shift type of penalties. Just terrible. Now instead of a 3rd and 7, it's 3rd and 12. Terrible play for the Renegades. I mean, this is insane. This is happening again. 10 penalties on the day for Arlington. That's bad. My grandma jogged faster. that was like borderline. That was even worse than like Chase Garber's running the football in the championship game. My God. Thankfully, the Renegades' run game is poor. Like, dude, people talk about Ballage being so good. If you eliminate that one, like, 73-yard rush Ballage had in week 1, his stats are, like, still okay, but they're not nearly as good as they look. 3rd and 12 for the Renegades. Ball snap. That's a false start. That was a clear false start. That's another 5-yard penalty for the Renegades. Oh, my goodness. Arlington, you need to not get penalties. Oh my goodness, this is so bad. This is so bad. Arlington, you can't keep... Dude, James Baker is just... Oh, he's so upset right now. This is insane. This is insane. Ball is snap. Perez drops back to throw. No flag so far. He's going to throw it for the first down. It's going to be caught, and that might be a first down. There's no way. If it's called a catch, it's going to be determined on exactly where it is. This could be insane. That's actually insane. Dude, no way he just got that. Like, surely he did not just actually get that. He might have to pull the Spring King book off the shelves. I still haven't read it. I have it, but, like, dude, I just have it. Hey, at least I have the book. I helped Luis Perez get some money. You know, make up that UFL money. I got him. Landry Jones can run faster. He might have to pull... Or Renegade's going to get shut out. Oh, this could be... Blooper reel might be. Self-destruction 101, yeah. Somehow he got that. I can't believe that. Have we seen a UFL shutout yet? Yeah, like Formath said, the shutout last year was in the championship game. The Stallions won 25-0 against the Brahmas. It'll be in 2027 based on that speed. Championship game last year was... Oh, yeah. Thank you, Renegades, for the penalties. Not a shootout, though. Or shutout, though. Let's see the stats so far. So both teams are almost the same in total yardage. Arlington is still dominating now in time possession at this point, but, like, man, this is still insane how this is going. Perez, 12 of 16. You're like, that's not bad. Then you see 99 yards. You're like, uh-oh, one interception. That's bad. Ballage has a 3.3 average, and that's with an 11-yard long. You eliminate that, he is 8 carries for 19 yards. Yikes. Yikes. And Day-Day's even worse. He's 9 carries for 14 yards with a long of 7. That's 8 carries for 7 yards if you eliminate his longest rush. Oh my goodness. That's bad. I mean, we all know this Renegades run game ain't good, but, like, oh my goodness, that is horrid. Like, seriously, that's absolutely wild. Yeah, the Brahmas were in field goal range, but didn't end up scoring. The Battlehawks defense really let them get a first down. Come on, Battlehawks. Absolutely wild. I agree. They should. The fact they got 2 5-yard penalties. They got 10 yards for free as a defense, and they couldn't stop them. That's insane. Timeout is an interesting call. Make a comeback to bite him, or may come back to bite him. Yeah. I mean, both teams are out of the Super Challenge. Stoops was the worst. Like, he really, like, he mismanaged his timeouts in the first half, mismanaged everything, but this is a game. It's a wild game for sure. It's still wild that it's still a one-score game. Remember, this is a 9-point, league where you can get a touchdown and 3-point conversion. I don't think we've been talking about that enough. This is still a one-score game. So, Arlington can still do it. They just showed the chest cam of Cap running right into King's leg. That's absolutely wild. Are they 16-0 final Bhawks win? It could. It very well could. I don't know if I would go for one in St. Louis, but yeah. Sorry, I didn't see the second comment. I was double-checking if the Brahmas did score a field goal. Yeah, it was. Yeah, 25-0 was the right score. I mean, they were in field goal range, but they ended up not kicking it because, they were trying to win the game. Well, all of them aside from Garbers are trying to win the game, I should say. But yeah. Stoops, you're going to get all the hate Nolan's been getting now that Nolan let Bryce be the starter. All that hate's going to go to Stoops if he keeps doing this. Fake the handoff, Perez drops back, looks over to the right, throws the check down to Day, who gets the first down up to the 40, the 35, the 30, and gets out of bounds at about the 29-yard line. Huge play for Day Hunter, not a rush, but it is a reception, so good for that one right there. The attendance is 26,684. Not shocked. Pass is thrown to the right. It's going to be caught. No, incomplete. He just didn't catch that. Oh, man. Under 30K. Perez throws to the left. There's going to be a little screen pass, and he's going to get tackled for about a 2-yard loss. Bad play for the Renegades right there. Yeah, I'm not too shocked at the attendance number at all. This is what I really expected to see. Third and 11 for the Renegades. Ball is snapped. And he almost gets sacked. He throws it away while he's getting sacked, but he gets caught for about a 1-yard gain. The Battlehawks are able to get the stop there. Well, like I said, I don't count that. Like the 2020 XFL, I don't really count for attendance stuff. The attendance stuff really matters for just the 23 one. But that's how I view it. Because the fact that the 2020 league, I've always stood by that it was really a different league than like this one right now. And even then, I believe that was kind of normal for them. Like, didn't they only have like the one? I don't even think they had a game over 30K that year. Standings, St. Louis Battlehawks that season. So we're not showing attendance. Let's go. Oh, they do. Yeah, Guardians was under 30K. It was like just under 30K, but it was under 30K. And then the Dragons was under 30K as well. So they had 2 games under 30K. But yeah. Yeah, it hurts when you get unlucky with all the close ones, but yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of the comments. A lot of people are saying what is true. The fact is, this is a number that is still decent when you consider the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on right now. When you have 2 other games going on right now that are big games, well, one of them is a massive game and one of them is still a Cardinals home game. Like, yeah, not shocked that all the attendance is down. It's still a very solid one. But yeah. Message retracted. I didn't even see it. I was on Twitter. Oh. Yeah, I think they played at DC week 5, and then that was it. Yeah, got through their 5 weeks, and that was about it. Phone battery's getting low. Be right back to let it charge for a bit. Hey, get that phone up. I know I'm lucky with how my thing's going. Did they call another penalty against Arlington? Another one. They've been doing a bunch of penalties. The Renegades they've taken so many bad penalties. They've taken so many delay of game, false starts, just penalties they should not be taking considering how much experience this team has. It's hard to watch. Like, this drive should have ended a while ago. They got that lucky AF, like 3rd and 22. But hey, it's still a one-score game. Don't care what anyone says, 27-3 static, especially with the, like, it's one thing if it's going against, like, a Cardinals game, which it is. It's going against the Blues home playoff game. Like, the fact that this number is even above 20K says a lot about St. Louis and the fans. It's insane. Might have been 3rd and 17, but I believe it was 3rd and 17 or 3rd and 22. I know, memory of a goldfish right here. 3rd and 17. It was a 3rd and 17, and they got 18 yards on the play. Yeah, I mean, this was great attendance for this game. I think that people saying it's not, it's just, no, this was a great number for them, for sure. Love to see it. And St. Louis, man, they love their team. You have 3 home games, and you're still able to hit over 25K for a UFL game. Like, you love to see that. I can't believe this game. This is such a wild game again. We got our... Is Friday Night Football going to become like the NFL's Thursday Night Football was like a few years ago? Where like every game is bad and you get like that one good one? Like, were we graced with the Memphis-Birmingham game and then every other Friday night game is going to be bad? Like, bro, come on. If half the league was in St. Louis, it would be cracking. True. I mean, if half the league was or St. Louis class averaging like 30K, it would be insane. It really would be. Total yardage in the third quarter is -9, and you're still winning 9-0. Like, this is a game that for power rankings is just a nightmare because it's like, dude, neither team has looked good. You know what I mean? It's rough. 46-yarder. It is up. It is good. He was not iced by Stoops this time, so the kick is good. We open the fourth quarter with a field goal. It is 9-3 St. Louis over Arlington. Big play right there for the Renegades. Wasn't iced by his coach like the last time he tried to kick a field goal. Again, it's still a one-score game, but now you don't have to get the three-point conversion to tie it up. So big for them. St. Louis needed to answer here. Touchdown makes it a two-score game. Field goal makes it back to a 9-point game. Yeah, Michigan can definitely get higher. I mean, what they've done so far this season has been pretty damn good, considering what they did the last 2 years. The fact they've been improving every year. If Bates keeps doing what he does, if, let's say, another Michigan player goes to the NFL and goes to the Lions, oh my goodness, be huge. Especially if they can keep winning again. This game means DC is a big game. They need to get this W to help out that home attendance. Yeah, DC is split, but it's still a solid number. Again, I would actually say they're one of the more disappointing numbers purely because of what we've seen them do. Again, at this point now, I'm judging attendance and how good it is compared to previous seasons and expectations. That's why, like, Arlington and Michigan, for me, are, like, the two most impressive, because I did not think either team was going to be this good. And that's even with me saying that I thought that Michigan's attendance would go up this season. I didn't think it would go up this much. There is a flag on the return that was carried to about the 18-yard line. Another flag. Watch it be against Arlington again. Nope, it's on the Battlehawks. Illegal block in the back. It's going to be a long drive for St. Louis. Again, St. Louis right now, time of possession, they're currently being beat by about 12 minutes. They can close that gap if they can have a really solid drive here. So far, Duggan has not been that great. He's been 5 of 16 for 79 yards and a touchdown. Though on the ground, he's still been solid. 51 yards or 59 yards on like 4 carries is solid, but passing-wise, has not been good today. He's had a couple big throws, but overall not great. But let's see what they do here. At the 10-yard line, Duggan is in shotgun. Ball is snapped. Fakes the handoff. It's a QB draw. Runs to the left. He gets sacked or gets tackled. So it's going to be about a 4-yard loss. This game is on Fox right now. Just basic Fox. It's also on Fox Sports, like the app Fox Sports. But for most people, you can watch it on Fox on your antenna TV. And then, of course, there's also the games that are on ESPN/ESPN Plus and ABC. If a game's on ABC or ESPN, it's also available on ESPN Plus. If the game is on Fox, it is available on Fox or the Fox Sports app. This game is on Fox, like every Friday Night Football game, so you can either watch it on the Fox Sports app or just on Fox Antenna TV. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff again. Duggan's going to run, and he gets to the 10. He gets to the 15. It's going to be a 3rd and 4. Again, the QB draw this time worked really well for Duggan. Great play by them. Again, sometimes doing that same exact play again works. Can't believe this game is still so close, too. This game, man, I really hope we get some, easy-to-tell games this weekend. Because if all the games end up being close, I have no idea what my power ranking is going to be. This is becoming harder than the 2023 USFL season was in regards to power rankings. That season was difficult. This is getting even harder. Because, neither of these teams have looked great this game. But one team's going to win. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back. And he gets sacked he gets hit as he throws. It's a fumble, potentially. And it's going to be recovered by the Renegades, who get it at about the 9-yard line. Odom almost made a grave mistake. He was trying to get that touchdown on the return, or on the fumble return. Instead, he almost lost the ball, but it ended up getting recovered by another Renegade. That is a terrible blow for St. Louis right there. Arlington is now right in the red zone. Oh, man, what a terrible thing for Duggan to take. Again, the Renegades' pass rush has been dominating Duggan all night. And look at that. Another massive hit. That's one of those mistakes. Odom was trying to pick it up. Rare mistake by Chris Odom right there. He almost cost them a potential fumble here. And Joel Klatt is talking about the long delivery. It's what a lot of people have been concerned about with Max Duggan. Because of that, he's not just pulling it back and throwing it. He pulls his arm around to throw it. During that pullback motion, he got hit. If that was a quarterback that had a faster release time, he would have thrown the ball before it even got touched. But because he has such a long throwing motion, he ends up getting a fumble there. That is why that kind of throwing motion is so hated by a lot of NFL scouts, and why it's very rare to see a quarterback like Phillip Rivers last as long as the NFL. Perez gets the snap, throws it over the middle, and it's intercepted! You can't make this up. Or did he drop it? He dropped it. That was a free interception, potential pick six, and he dropped it. What a awful throw by Perez, and somehow, some way, he avoids any blowback for that play because the Battlehawk defender dropped it. Oh my goodness. That's terrible. Oh, that's rough to watch. Again, say it with me, chat. That's why you're on defense. Because you can't make that catch. Do you think it'll go over 22 points? If Arlington scores a touchdown here, maybe. If it's a field goal, no. In my game picks, I picked this game to be the over, and that was back when it was like a much higher over-under. Again, I didn't bet on it. I just do my game picks, compare it. But, man, I thought this game was going to be a lot more scoring. This has been absolutely insane. Beyond lucky, 100%. Absolutely insane that he dropped that interception. Are you kidding me? Damn, bro. Arlington 8 turnovers, St. Louis 9 turnovers. Battlehawks might as well join the show. It's in Cancun with this play. Oh, my goodness. Ball is snapped by Perez, who almost gets sacked. He throws it away. It is going to be incomplete, and they force the field goal. The Battlehawks defense shows up and forces the field goal. Well, they showed up aside from dropping the interception, and forced the field goal. Huge for them. Again, like I talked about earlier, taking the points matters. If you're St. Louis, if you took those points earlier in the game, you're still up by a touchdown if this kick is good. Instead, it's only a field goal game. And if you're Arlington, instead of trying to game the system and get a touchdown, if you would have taken your field goal, you would be tied right now. Again, taking the points matter. How do you not catch that? Playing on defense. It's the age-old joke that's true. There's a reason a lot of DBs and linebackers play defense, because they're not good at catching the ball, and that's proof right there. Yeah, you need that pick. That's one of those. That's like the Panthers one against, I believe, the Battlehawks a couple weeks ago. Or not the Battlehawks, against the Stallions, where it was against Corral, where it was just a drop pick six. Kick is up. It is good. It is 9-6 with 11 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game. My goodness. Defense playing their heart out. They're doing what they can. What a game. This is one of the games of all time. I'll say that. This is definitely one of the games of all time. What a game. Seeing what's going on here. Nothing. Go to Twitter. What's going on here? Our ball. Okay. Week 6 inactives. Showing the game picks are here. Yo, PFN, let's see. Most of PFN's members picked Arlington to win this game. 5 people picked the Battlehawks. The rest of them picked the Renegades. And, yeah, it looks like the Battlehawks might blow it. They might win. We'll see, though. Watch party for the showboats. Oh, no. Notifications. What a game. I mean, this is actually insane. The fact that this game is still so close. This game really is a chess match. This is a game. Do you like Stoops? Heading into the biggest concern I've had about Stoops is the fact that when you routinely are blowing close games in various ways, that comes down to coaching above all. Overall, I really like Stoops. He got this great championship win in 2023. But through 1.5 seasons in the UFL specifically, you can argue that almost every loss falls on him because of the fact that when you're losing, not like 1 or 2 games, but when every loss is a last-second field goal miss, a last-second drive not working, penalties hurting you, and it's routinely happening, and there's a common denominator that's your head coach, that's a problem. So, I like Stoops, but I'm starting to question how good he is at this level, at this point. Again, he won the championship, but that championship, right, Perez played out of his mind, right? We all forget how well he played because Alex Magoo then, thoroughly did even better because he just was in another stratosphere in 2023 in the playoffs. But Perez in the playoffs was a menace that year. But last year, they lost so many games on last-second field goals. This season, the red zone offense has been horrid. Right there, you got the ball at, the 10-yard line, and you couldn't score a touchdown? You had this 8-minute drive, and you couldn't even get points on the board? This is a game where if Arlington loses, they're going to look back at this one, and they're going to be really pissed about losing this one. This should have been a win for them, and if they do end up losing, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow. Add in the Birmingham game. Yes, I know there's the ref ball controversy. You had a lot of red zone opportunities you couldn't score on. The Houston game, you almost lost that one, which you should have won by a pretty easy margin. You just blew the largest lead in UFL history, a 15-point lead to DC last week. When this keeps happening, it falls on the head coach above all. Right? It's like we talk about Kyle Shanahan in the NFL. When you blow a massive lead in the Super Bowl as an OC on a team, and then as the head coach of a different team, it falls on you. Run is up the middle to about the 37-yard line for the Battlehawks. Bit of hand fighting still going on between the Battlehawks and the Renegades, but no flag is being thrown there. Shocking that that's not thrown. Perez has truly slipped since the USFL 2022 is just me. I mean, last year he was the best passer in the league. I mean, last year he was great. And I'd say this, Vegas Vipers Perez was pretty weak. Renegades playoff Perez 2 years ago was really great. Renegades Perez last year was really great. But this year, he's not the same as he's been, that's for sure. I don't know what it is, but he hasn't been the same as he was last year or in the playoffs 2 years ago. Duggan tries to run, and he gets tackled for another loss. Again, another QB draw that doesn't end up working too well for the Battlehawks there. Let's see if Arlington can stop him on 3rd down. Insane game so far. The fact that this is a game that both teams oh man, dude is 80 years old, makes sense. You can't be good forever. 3rd and 7 for the Battlehawks. Need this first down here. Need to get back on the scoring. You got only 2 good drives at the. You got 2 scoring drives at the end of the first half. Need to get another one here. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back, throws it. It's going to be short, but he breaks the tackle and he gets to the first down marker. Absolutely wild play by Blake Jackson right there. Should have been tackled for a 3-yard loss. Was able to just keep moving. Again, it's like they always say, just keep moving. Great play by him right there. Love to see that for him. Perez is for sure the Spring King, only because he's been around forever. Played in the AF, XFL, Spring League, XFL again. I believe the USFL, then the XFL again, then the UFL. Absolutely wild. First in for the Battlehawks. Ball is snapped, handed off in the middle, gets to the 50, gets to about the 5th, or gets to the 47-ish yard line. Big play for the Battlehawks right there. Little bit of a score update right now. The Jets are losing 5-2 to the Blues. That game is probably going to a Game 7. As for the NBA, the Rockets are currently up by 6 with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Back to your regularly scheduled UFL play-by-play with 9 minutes and 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Birmingham is a 10-point favorite. Absolutely wild. Duggan is in shotgun. One man to his right in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. Looks to his right. Throws a quick pass. It is going to be caught for a first down. Very solid play right there. Just a quick play. Love to see it. Teamu, I don't remember him being in the AAF, but he was in the XFL. He was originally the Battlehawks quarterback back in 2020. So he's been playing for a while, and he was with the Bandits in the USFL, but I do not believe he was in the Spring League. I believe he was on like training camps and stuff. So he while he's been in spring football a lot, there's a big thing between him and obviously the, he's not nearly like as much of a spring guy as Perez. Perez has just been in every spring football league like every year. It's insane. They're going to call a timeout here. Let's see, they got timeout off. Yep. Would have been a delay of game, but they got the timeout off. So St. Louis is going to be down to 1 timeout with no challenge for the rest of the game. Yeah, he was with the Bandits in 2022. A lot of people like to kind of forget about it when they talk about Teamu, because Teamu in that year, he led the league in yards, but the only reason was because Kyle Sloter was resting in Week 10. And he also led the league in interceptions that year, hence why I've talked about in the past where like Teamu's led the league in interceptions on two separate occasions. Hence why I don't think he is as great a quarterback as other people like to say, because he's historically been a kind of turnover-prone quarterback. Now, he has never been like this season. Like this season, he is just ripping it. He has taken the F it, go deep mindset to a whole nother level because he's just throwing it. Like, is it going to be underthrown by 5 yards? Is it going to be overthrown by 10 yards? Is it going to be a perfect throw to his receiver, a perfect throw to a DB that isn't even like near the receiver? You never know. It's actually wild. I will say, watching Teamu this season is fun because it's literally just like watching Jameis on steroids. Yeah, he throws it like 40 times a game. It's just wild. Run to the right by Sailors, and he gets about a solid 6-yard gain again. Sailors having another solid game. Love to see it. Bad clock management. It's wild how many like delay of game penalties we're having here. It really is insane. Again, down to 1 timeout for St. Louis. This is not what you want to see. Again, you do have the lead, but if you don't score here, it's going to be really bad having only 1 timeout left. But yeah, Teamu this season is insane because the defense on DC gets so many turnovers. They just get to keep playing. Like, Amber Smith gets like 30 carries and gets like 40 yards on 30 carries. And then Teamu throws it like 40 times for some just stupid stat line. Like, he'll throw like 12 of 30 for like 250 and like 2 touchdowns and an interception. You're like, what the hell happened? They run it up the middle, and it's going to be just shy. Sailors gets about 6.5 yards right there. Going to be about half a yard shy of the first down. Should be a very easy first down here. Again, in this scenario, I would probably just straight up run it 2 times straight up. Again, I say 2 times saying you failed the first time. As I've always said, if you're under a yard, I don't care where you are on the field, you go for it, unless a field goal wins you the game, obviously. I mean, they're basically less than a yard here. They need to get a first down here, or at least go for it on 4th down if they don't lose yards here. I gave him a bit of a bad spot there, a bit like a full yard, but let's see what they do here. Ball is snapped. They hand it off right up the middle. Ooh, he does lose about 1/3 of a yard. I would probably kick it there then. That was a long yard, and now that you lost another like 1/3 of a yard, I'd kick it there. Kick it, force it back to being a touchdown game. Again, extra point can, give you the lead, blah, blah, blah. We've seen the past do it. I would kick a field goal here. Just get that lead. Hot Rod has been perfect. If he misses this kick, it's a huge shock. Kick the field goal, take the points. Some games tell him with over 250, 2 Ts, but 3 picks too. It really is wild how he's been this season. I mean, it's insane how Teamu's played this year, really. It's something else. Him versus Jameis would be an awesome quarterback battle. This is a 53-yard kick for Rodrigo Blankenship. Kick is up, and it is a beautiful kick. Almost perfectly straight, a little bit to the side, but a beautiful kick. Still perfect on the season. He is doing everything he can to go back to the NFL. Former Colts kicker having a beautiful kick. Again, extending that lead back to 6 points. It is now a touchdown lead. Again, though, as we talked about earlier this stream, the decision to not kick that field goal very early in the game could haunt them. If the Battlehawks took the points there, they would be up by 9 points right now. The decision to go for it really didn't work out. And yes, I know the next drive they score, blah, blah, blah. Something taking the points helped, but we'll see. Again, less than 7 minutes left in the game. 6-point game. Let's see what Arlington can do on offense. Taomu's the spring version of Jameis for sure. That's the truth for sure. Absolutely wild how he's been. Michigan Panthers posted. Let's see what they posted. Finishing touches. Okay, so random post from earlier today. Bro, boxing. I'm sorry. I just don't care about boxing right now. The official attendance for the St. Louis Cardinals game is 28,000, and the Blues game sold out for over 18,000 fans. For those of you who don't really do math too well, and yes, I am using this on my computer even though I know how to do math, that is over 72,000 people in attendance for games in St. Louis on a Friday night. You know, the night that a lot of people act like is a very tough night to have. That is insane. St. Louis is just showing out for all their teams. Samson got a 1-game suspension. I forgot who it was, but I believe it was Tawa's father came out about what the fan was doing. I think it would have been... The league was kind of in an area where it would have been a bad look for either to not suspend him or to suspend him for a long time because of the accusations to the fan. So they ended up giving Samson a 1-game suspension. Because... I don't have it pulled up, but if you can look it up on Twitter from probably UFM posted it. Tawa's father posted about how that fan was like horrible in that game. So again, like we talked about the Bryson Elaine story, there's 3 sides to a story, and one of those is the truth. But it's arguable to say that the slap was borderline justified, even though it's a player hitting a fan, hence why it was only the 1 game. Yeah, it was at the end of the game, if I remember, remind me, T-Dog, at the end of the game, and I'll pull up that tweet. Just remind me end. Lil Cam, we got Harrison Butker of the UFL. We got I would say Jake Bates 2.0, but Bates did miss a decent amount of kicks, but he kicked a lot of 60-yarders. We got like Brandon Aubrey 2.0, just making every single kick. It's absolutely wild. Kick is up. It's going to be returned about the 5, up to the 15, the 20 for the Renegades, the 25, and he gets tackled at about the 28-yard line. So let's see what Arlington can do here. Again, with only having 2 timeouts left for Arlington, they got to do something here, at least score a field goal. Because that much time left, you do have the opportunity to score a field goal if you do a quick drive, but we'll see. Again, a St. Louis win here brings both teams to a 2-2 conference record with a head-to-head win over each other. But St. Louis will be at 4-2 versus Arlington at 3-3, giving them a full 1-game advantage. So... hence why it's such a big deal for St. Louis. As if Arlington wins, they get a significant edge in the conference record. They get the head-to-head record, big deal. So let's see what they do here. Perez is in shotgun. 1 man behind him in the backfield. Ball is snapped. They hand it off. Day runs to the right. He cut, and he gets about a 6-yard gain. Decent one right there. I will say some fans of every team are bad ones. They'll get drunk and heckle players and shit. It's so annoying. So if that's what happened, then I understand Samson's standpoint. I didn't fully read it, but I read a decent amount. I think it's even worse than just that. Like, it was, like, the accusations, why I'm saying that, 3 sides to a story, because the accusations were, like, pretty bad, if I remember correctly. Hence why, like, the 1-game suspension is what he's given, because it's like, man, it'd be pretty hard to justify suspending him for, like, the whole year with, like, the accusation about the fan and all that, but yeah. 2nd and 4 for the Renegades. Ball is snapped. They hand it off. Breaks the tackle. Dede gets the first down up to the 45, and he gets tackled at just past the 50, about to the 49-yard line in Arlington territory. Huge run for Dede right there. Again, Dede had been doing pretty much nothing all night. That and the last couple of runs have been very solid for Dede Hunter. Big plays for the Renegades ground game right now. Again, we only have 3 timeouts for both teams right now. St. Louis has 1, Arlington 2. There was no super challenges. Both teams tried and failed on their first super challenges. So... both teams are on almost on an identical playing field in that aspect. Perez is in shotgun, gets the snap, fakes the handoff, quick throws it, is going to be caught up to the 35, and he gets tackled at about the 30-yard line. Ball is out. It might be a fumble. If it's a fumble, it'll be St. Louis ball, but it might be called. Let's see what it's called in the field. Let's see what this call is. They're going to talk about it. This is either going to be a massive 20-yard reception for Arlington or it's going to be a fumble recovery for the Battlehawks. They're calling it, it looks like a fumble maybe. Let's see. They're calling it a fumble. St. Louis ball. If this stands, this could be the end for Arlington in this game. Let's see if this stands. This could be a huge play for the Battlehawks right here. Let's see the replay. And ball is out. That is a fumble. That is St. Louis ball. There is no overturning that one right there. Huge play for the St. Louis Battlehawks defense right there. Massive hit right there. Let's see if St. Louis can end this game. Any points pretty much ends this game. Even though a field goal technically makes it, still one-score game. Let's see. Arlington is using a timeout here. There may be a reason to doing it, but overall, very questionable decision to call a timeout here. It's going to just hurt you. Now you have one less timeout. Big fumble right there. Huge fumble for that right there. That fumble was huge. Both these teams know each other very well, so this game being close doesn't shock me at all, but St. Louis struggling to score does kind of worry me. I'm shocked it's so low scoring. I thought it was going to be a much higher scoring game. I really did. I thought St. Louis was going to win this one, but I did not think this game was going to be a low scoring affair. Cost, Lil Cam. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge play. Defense coming in clutch. Big play. I mean, insane that Arlington might lose this game because of that. 3 turnovers is huge. Yeah, it's out. Yeah, the booth review, they didn't need to review that one because it was one of those where once you saw that quick replay, at first it looked kind of close, but that replay showed it was. Sailors breaks 2 tackles and gets a 4-yard gain. Poor tackling by Arlington. He should have been tackled for maybe a 1-yard gain. Instead, he gets about 4 yards on the play. Bad play for the defense on Arlington right there. They don't have a challenge and didn't. They both already confirm a fumble. Yeah, very weird timeout call by Arlington. I know that's what you're probably talking about. Again, you just kind of use a timeout for no real reason. So now if St. Louis does score that field goal, it's going to make your drive to try and score a touchdown much harder. This is like a Houston game type score. This is a lot like the Houston Renegades game from a few weeks ago. The Renegades don't play well. It's not like the Battlehawks have played all that well, but it's a low-scoring game, super close. Duggan gets the snap, hands it off to Sailors, who gets a solid 3.5 yards. This is bad news for Arlington. It really is. Again, this loss means that you have 3 losses on the year that you should have easily won. No offense to the Battlehawks fans, but we all have seen this game. Arlington should win this game, judging from what happened early. They should have beat Birmingham. They should have beat DC. But they choked both those games, and they're going to choke this one too. This is why I picked St. Louis to win this game. I had Arlington higher in my power rankings, but on my pick, or my game picks, I said Arlington is going to, they're going to Arlington, and they're going to choke this one. Ball snap to the right. Oh, almost an interception. He was just a little bit too slow to get that one, but that was a big play. Forced the punt. Arlington is going to have another shot. Just like Burley said, they did just get a massive stop right there. They said that right before the play happened. Huge stop. Man, if he was a tiny bit faster, he would have gotten a pick 6 there potentially. Again, that's not a drop. That would have been an insane catch if he had caught that. But massive pass breakup there still, nonetheless, for the Renegades. They're going to have another shot on offense. Turnovers kill, 100% true. Always has been, and really hurting. Renegades on fraud watch. I wouldn't even say that. I'd say they're just on choke watch again. I mean, this would be all 3 of their losses would be bad losses to take. Return is going to be up to about the 27-yard line for Arlington. Under 3 minutes left. Again, really wish you had that second timeout. Now you're down to 1 timeout. Battlehawks offense sucks in this game. It really is wild that the offense hasn't even played all that well. Let me pull up the stats real quick while we're in commercial break now. The Battlehawks have less than 170 yards of total offense. They are 3 of 12. You heard that right. 3 of 12 on third downs. They have only made it to the red zone once, and they didn't score. Yes, they scored a touchdown, wasn't in the red zone. They have taken 5... Okay, so something is wrong. Again, the UFL stats site is so poor, but the point is they've taken 5 or 6 sacks, the Battlehawks, and it's just hurting them. Duggan hasn't been having a great game. On the ground, Sailors isn't having an incredible game. Again, I still think it's a solid game, but it's obviously not great when you're averaging 3.5 yards per carry on 13 attempts for 46 yards. Not great. I mean, hey, it's what I kind of expected. This is why I picked Arlington to lose this game. I didn't pick St. Louis to win. I picked Arlington to lose this game. That's what I pretty much did. Renegades have lost their momentum if they had any in the first place. Yeah, as a Seahawks fan, the offense is scaring me a bit. Arlington are losing more than Hawks are winning this game. I agree with that. OMG, Battlehawks can't close the deal. I mean, if Arlington wins because of the opposite of what happened last year or last week with how Arlington got the chance to win and they failed and Teamu went down and scored, that would be insane. If Battlehawks still have McCarron, do you think they'll be undefeated before entering this game? I disagree. I think AJ has been getting so much hate for really no... And this is coming from a guy who thought he was overrated. Like, I still stand by it. He was overrated last year. He was still a good quarterback. Like, the thing that's important to note is a good quarterback needs to be able to throw the ball away or throw it quickly. Yeah, I agree. He was definitely overrated. Like, people said he was elite. I said no. Like, on a tier list, I put him in the great tier, not the elite tier. Like, I still thought he was a good quarterback, just not, like, he wasn't Adrian Martinez level great. But the one thing that I feel like he would have done much better is not taking these sacks. Because about half of the sacks Duggan have taken are on him. Like, it comes to a point where if you're holding onto the ball and you have, like, this wide open pocket to your left and you're standing there, bro, throw the ball away or run. Because you're a dual threat quarterback, right? The whole reason you got rid of AJ was because he wasn't a dual threat quarterback. But your dual threat quarterback ain't running when he's getting pressured. It's a problem. So, on the season, how different do I think they would be with McCarron? I couldn't say. In this game and the game against Arlington 2 weeks ago, if they had AJ, they win both those games. For sure. Now, the other games, like the first couple, honestly, well, the first couple are pretty easy. The point is, when it comes to getting pressured, you want a guy that's like an AJ McCarron, like a Jalen McClendon, that knows to throw the ball away pretty quickly. Rush up the middle by the Renegades, and he gets about 6 yards in the play. So that's what I would say. I would say that against this Renegades pass rush, McCarron would be better than what they have right now. But on the season, that's harder to agree on. That's my opinion on that. Manny just has the fire in him, which I like to see. Manny isn't that guy. Manny looked a lot better than he did last year, but it looked like those first 2 games were against teams that were pretty easy for him to play. It sucks that he got hurt because he didn't get to see really what he could do. Rushes for a first down. We're going to hit the 2-minute warning. Again, Arlington needs to score a touchdown, and then any extra point will win him the game if St. Louis doesn't score. But it really sucks that we didn't get to see really what Manny could do because of the fact that he got hurt when he did. Right, like, it's great that Jalen McClendon is playing great, but yeah. Who likes the new Roughnecks QB playing with poise? I've been banging the table for a year. I said all at the end of last year, the DC defenders needed to bench Teamu and start McClendon. Don't let him come in for injury. Start him. I am so glad that McClendon has had back-to-back great games. I've been wanting to see him get a chance. Everybody forgets. What people said Dormade was last year is what McClendon was. People tried to say, oh, Dormade played on a bad Guardians team. He was a lot better than what his stats showed. McClendon played on the Vipers and was thoroughly better than Perez when he was on the Vipers, right? Vipers for Vipers career. McClendon was so much better than Perez. Then he never got a shot. He came in the one time because of injury and didn't play insane, but again, it was because of injury. It wasn't like he was getting starting reps. And now he got his chance to play back-to-back great games. I am so happy he's playing well. Easily one of my favorite players in the UFL. I've been rooting for him for the past couple of years. I'm so glad he's playing well. Like, that's what I said about the Houston game, right? The Showboats game. Like last week. If the Roughnecks win because of McClendon, I'm fully happy. Like last week. Yes, does it suck that my Brahmas pick was wrong? For sure. But McClendon played well and they won. I was happy about that. That happens again this week. I'm fine with that. I'm so happy. I mean, Trevor, I'm so glad you brought that up. McClendon, I'm so happy he's playing the way he is. I know Royce was too. I know he was another guy who was defending McClendon, saying he needed a shot. And it's so great to see him get a shot. I love seeing him play. It's great. That's the one thing I would be fine with Houston making the playoffs. Because McClendon, man, he deserves it. He's been a great quarterback, stuck on some bad situations, and doing pretty good. It does suck that he got hurt, but I'm sorry. After week 1, I saw that coming. I was just hoping it wasn't so soon in the season. Yeah, that's what I fear about Perkins. I mean, when he's trying to hurdle every single time, like every game, it's like, bro, you're going to literally tear your ACL doing that. I was at work for the first Battlehawks Renegades game, so when I got on break and watched Final few minutes, I was so excited to see Duggan, not knowing Manny was injured. Ooh. Yeah, I do think that was definitely rough to see. I knew both teams would be flatter this game after last week's shootouts, and I knew Arlington would come out without a rhythm. The thing I got wrong was the score. I thought it was going to be a higher scoring game, but this game, in terms of how they've played, is not exactly surprising to me either. Like, Arlington this season, they just haven't been playing well, all things considered. The Houston game, right, they escaped that one with a win. The Birmingham game, yes, there was the officiating issues. But even then, they blew so many red zone opportunities, that game ultimately fell on the offense, not the penalties. Then you had the game, there's a fumble by Perez, and the Battlehawks get the fumble. Perez, my brother, you are going to be benched for Holton Allers probably. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that, but like, people are been clamoring for that, and you might get that now. That's borderline game. St. Louis is all but guaranteed to win the game right now. Oh my goodness. Perez trying to run, fumbles the ball. Horrible. That's like the 4th turnover on the day for Arlington. Oh my goodness. Oh man, insane. But like I was trying to say earlier, it's just like this Arlington team is so much like last year's team. It's just the opposite. Their defense is what's better than their offense. Like last year, they blew so many close games they should have won. And then this year, they're doing it again. This team easily should be 6-0. But they blew the game against Birmingham. They had the all-time choke against DC. And this game, you had an 8-minute drive and scored 0 points because your coach iced his own kicker. Oh my goodness. First down for Jacob Sailors on the rush. This game, barring something insane, is going to be a 12-6 win for the Battlehawks. True T-Dog could cause the law. Here we go, crunch time, dude. Oh no, dude. Arlington, 10 turnovers, cause swag, St. Louis turnovers. I mean, if I'm a Renegades fan, man, I'm just like, I say that like the Renegades aren't my favorite team in the XFL Conference. I mean, that's rough. This is a rough past couple of weeks for the Renegades. Renegades are absolutely done. This is the kind of back-to-back losses that makes it very hard to say that this team has a real shot at making the playoffs. They're still in it, remember. Because they got the win the first time, this is a good one. But it's like I tried to say, after that first game against St. Louis, that win had a massive asterisk, and so many people tried to ignore that asterisk. Like, look, I've been wrong a lot, right? I thought the Showboats were going to win the championship last year. But after that week 4, I have almost perfectly predicted Arlington. I said they were not better than DC after DC got the upset loss. I said DC was still a better team. They were going to beat Arlington. They went out there, beat Arlington. Then this week, I said in my game picks video earlier today, Arlington's going to do what they do. They're going to just choke when they shouldn't choke, and they're going to blow it. Like, again, like T-Dog the whole game, he's been complaining about the Battlehawks offense. Arlington outplayed St. Louis, except for turnovers and inefficiency when it matters. Good night, Burley. I know this did not end the way you wanted it to with the Renegades. I mean, I'm going to rant a little bit more about the Renegades, so if you either want to stay here to kind of hear the deserved stuff to the Renegades, or if you just want to not, but, like, hope you have a good night, man. I really hope the Renegades do better, but, like, this is rough. I mean, seriously, W picks 1 for 1 so far. Thank you. Since this game is essentially over, you should pull up the tweet here. I'm going to pull that up in a second. I definitely am. I'm not going to forget about that one. Thank you for reminding me. But I'm going to kind of talk about this a bit. They're going to be like the Sea Dragons 23. Honestly, true. The thing, well, they made the playoffs that year, so yeah, right? Pure stupidity on their part. Like, it's just, it's insane. Like, they'll miss the playoffs despite a better record than the team from the other conference that did make it. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, the only thing that hurts saying that is that it at least with the Dragons, granted, before talking about the Renegades actually won the championship that year, most people viewed the Dragons were a better team than the Renegades. I don't know if that's going to be the case this time. With it probably will be. Honestly, probably will be. But it's just like this Renegades team is almost identical to last season's team, really. Like, last season's team, right? They had the super close loss against, like, I'm pulling out their schedule because I know they had multiple, right? You had the week 1 game they just got beat. You had, like, the last second field goals against St. Louis, DC, Michigan. Houston was a one-score game. The Brahmas was only 10 points, still a close game. Brahmas in Week 8 was a one-score game. Then this season, the Renegades, when you look at their standings, right? Again, the San Antonio game, getting on your plane. I hope you have a good flight, Trevor. Thank you for being here when you were able to. But yeah, an ugly game for St. Louis, too. I'm glad we got the win. Close game. Eventually, man, I'm worried. So, if you eliminate the Week 1 game against the Brahmas, the Renegades played a horrible game against Houston on offense and escaped with a W. Barely escaped that one. Pulling up the Week 2, I want to make sure I'm remembering this correctly. Because I remember correctly, the Roughnecks had a shot to win that. Yes, they scored at near the... Let's see. The Roughnecks scored but failed a 2-point attempt. So they were a 2-point attempt away from tying that game. So, easily could have been a loss. Then Birmingham. The Birmingham game. Let me pull up the stats for that one. Again, yes, there was the ref ball controversy. But eliminate that from your mindset. They went 0 of 4 in the red zone. That is inexcusable. That's on the Arlington offense not officiating. So that's one loss right there that sucks there. Then you have the game against St. Louis in Week 4. It was a 15-point victory. Massive asterisk. You got an 8-point handicap because Manny Wilkins tore his Achilles and gave you a free touchdown, and you got a pick 6. You eliminate those 2 plays. Again, it's a lot to eliminate, but the what if, right? I know. It's like we're talking about Justin Herbert. What if? What if they lose that game without those 2 scores? Then DC, a 15-point blow or 15-point loss. When Teamu threw what should have been a game-losing interception. It's rough, man. Like, I picked this team to win the championship, and I do not feel at all safe about that pick. Do I feel better in Week 6 than I did about the Showboats last year? For sure. But this is not the team I thought was going to win the championship. Because the way they played this week and the past few weeks, like, this is not great. Like, people, it sucks. Because this team, in so many ways, should be great. You have a great quarterback, but he hasn't played as great as he did last year. The receiving core should be great. Hasn't been as good as it was last year. The O-line we thought would be better. Past few weeks, hasn't been better. The defense actually has been better. Again, if you eliminate the DC game, they have held every team to 15 or less points. Yet you are 3-3. When you see that record, that's on the offense. Defense gets no blame in my book for any loss. Aside from, I would say DC, but the DC one, the offense got the the defense got the interception, and just, I don't know exactly how long you've been in here, DeMarcus, but I will say, earlier in this stream, somebody asked me about Stoops, and that's exactly what I was talking about. When, especially 2 years straight, you blow so many close games in so many wild fashion, it comes down to coaching. When you're getting delay of game penalties, illegal shifts, when you have the same OC head coach quarterback combo for the last 2 years, because I don't remember for sure if Chuck Long was the OC in 23. That's inexcusable. It's aggravating. It really is aggravating. Because, like I said, this is my favorite XFL team, and I picked them to win the championship. But this team, man, there's no excuse to lose this game. There's just no excuse. Yet somehow you lost. You know what I mean? You got so many bad turnovers. That first drive really set the tone. When you go the way they went, it's oh man, that was so rough. That was so rough, that beginning. St. Louis with 2.5-point favorites. I didn't even think they should have been 2.5 points favorites, but 2 of 3 to start the week. It was rough, man. It hurts, but literally the worst game for the Renegades. A great president, the King's purple. Anyway, he's the prince, which isn't bad, but better king. Also was a great game. Cause love your ship. Alright, so I'm gonna pull up the Toa Tawa tweet before we sign off. Again, wanted to talk about that one in case for somebody who didn't see it with the Samson Nico thing. Again, the Renegades, I could rant so much about this because this is it would borderline. It wouldn't be as bad as the true famous rant on the channel with the Memphis Showboats, but it would be close because the fact is that my gut didn't even want to put them at 2 last week in the power rankings, or 3 wherever I put them last week, and I still did, even though I didn't even really want to. And it's man, I'm just glad I didn't put them at 1 when everybody else did for DC, because I had that feeling that DC was still the best team in the league, and Some it was. Okay, so put this in like this. I said on X, they will never seem to bounce back well from losses. That's coaching. I bet wrong. GG, man. GG, everyone. GG, Adam. Yeah, I fully agree with that, DeMarcus. I fully agree with that. Like, it's hard to look at this team and say that there's any... Okay, I did not mean to do that. And say there's anything really redeeming about them. It's just that there's not. Like, especially with Stoops' point, like, it's hard to watch. Because, I mean, they bounced back from the Roughnecks game by winning a game because of a torn Achilles, a quarterback coming in out of nowhere, getting pressured to all hell. It's just, yeah. I've been around all stream as quiet as I've been. So, for those of you still here, again, if you are gone for the game, have a good night. But this is the Toa tweet from his parent, I believe. I believe this is from his dad. So, this is what one of the parents said. Again, we just, let's see. So, this is Samson Nakul will be suspended for one game, blah, blah, blah. When he decided to spend... Okay, so, T. Tawa, this is Toa Tawa's dad, left this comment on Facebook about what happened. We sat right behind them, but more in the middle of that section. Again, I've talked about this before. In the 2023 USL Championship game, I was right next to, like, Tizino's family and, like, Simmons' family. Like, this is a very common occurrence, obviously, to have family right in the front line. We were the only Panthers fans in that section behind the Panthers bench. I've been to hundreds of different stadiums for the NFL, NCAA, and high school supporting my sons throughout the years. I've been heckled and harassed before, so I knew not to get involved. Just trust me when I say this. There was nobody in that stadium that me and my body, who is ex-Special Forces, would have a problem with. This crowd was by far the nastiest I've ever been around. I could hear him clearly from where we sat. It wasn't just him. There was even women screaming at the players about the size of their private parts. People were trying to insult the Panther players with negative comments, nasty negative comments that had nothing to do with football. A lady from this same fan base sitting a couple seats over from him said something to him about the heckling, and his reaction was, I just like to F with them. There comes a point where you're going too far, and he was clearly beyond that point when he decided to spit on Nakua. So, obviously, that line is the big one. Now, like I've always said, and like I said when we talked about the Bryson Elaine stuff earlier, there are three sides to a story. There's, there's Nakua / Tawa's side, there's the fan side, and there's the truth. Again, just like with the Bryson Elaine thing, this is a bit different. The Bryson Elaine thing is like, if any part of that is true, it's a terrible look for AJ Smith. Really, it's this part. The heckling part, like, you hate to say it, but that's just the deal. But if this part was true, that's why Nakua couldn't get more than a game suspension. Because if that's true, that's taking it to, like, a whole nother level. Like, that's like when you had, like, that one fan, like, throw popcorn on Russ or something, and he got really pissed about it. Like, it comes to a point where if you do something over the limit like that, like, that's going too far. So, that's pretty much the big thing with that when it comes to the whole, that part of it. So, yeah. Yeah, spitting on someone, I mean, again, was it true? We might never know. But the fact that this is even being alleged is a pretty big deal. So, that's kind of the important thing to note about this, and why it was mainly a one-game suspension, why it wouldn't be anything more. But yeah, you deserve to get knocked point out. I can kind of back up the point about the view. When I went to a game in St. Louis, Memphis was the away team. St. Louis fans were heckling me for cheering my team. Yeah, I mean, the only away time I've been was I went to an ECU game as a Bearcats fan, and it was a lot of just, basic heckling. It wasn't anything big. It was like a couple guys saying we're going to win, blah, blah. It was like very, it wasn't like being a-holes about it. I was told to sit down. I remember you telling me about that. I do remember you telling me about that. I was told to sit down after celebrating your fumble recovery. I do remember you telling me about that. So, that's the whole thing with the Nakua, or the Nakua situation. That's what ended up coming about that one. So, yeah, tone down heckling is okay. Beyond friendly heckling, yeah. I agree fully. So, that's kind of what ended up happening with that. But, man, as for this game, I still can't believe how this one really looked like. Oh, man. It's just, oh, man. What a game. This was definitely a rough one for really both teams, but St. Louis got the win. They are currently in a playoff spot, so congrats to them. If you're Arlington, man, yikes. We will have a Power Rankings video come out on Monday, obviously, and we all know Arlington's going down. Now, how far down, I can't say for sure. Because who knows, knowing how the season's gone, we're going to see Michigan somehow beat DC by 30, and we're going to see Birmingham lose by 15 to San Antonio, and then at the same token, we're going to, for some weird reason, see the Showboats win by like 50 with how the season's gone. You know what I mean? We'll see how the games go, but Arlington's going down for sure. St. Louis, this is a borderline one. If Michigan beats DC, I agree. All I know is if Michigan beats DC, that would be so tough. Because if Michigan beats DC in general, it's like, dude, who do I put higher, the Panthers or the Battlehawks? You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be such a tough one. Because if Michigan beats DC, it's like, dude, you have to put them above the Battlehawks. But it's like, you can't. Because then it's like you're putting them at 1. Are they really 1? Not really, but they beat DC. But St. Louis, they didn't look good. Oh, my God. Power rankings, like, 2023 was bad in terms of making power rankings because it was so whack. Like, you had a conference have 4 teams fighting for a playoff spot at the end. It's just wild. I actually are edging Michigan out. If Michigan beats DC, it's pretty difficult to not put Michigan at 1. That's what I would say. Yeah, I agree. There's a reason I picked DC to win this game. Like what Indy said earlier and in the first comment, when I saw that Michigan was the favorite, I was stunned. Like, I thought DC should have been like a 4-point favorite. The fact that they were the underdogs, I'm just stunned. But if Michigan beats DC, it's pretty hard to not put them at 1. Because you beat the team that is the consensus best team in the league for the last 3. Exactly. I could not believe Michigan was the favorite. Like, I get it. They're starting Perkins. They're at home. But, like, dude, DC just pulled out this massive comeback. They only have 1 loss, and it was a fluke loss that I thought was pretty easy to see coming. Like, they might not be as good as the Stallions were last year or the previous couple years, but they're still the best team in the league right now. Like, I can't believe they're the underdogs. But, yeah, I mean, I think DC wins. That's why I picked them. But if they end up losing and Michigan wins, it's pretty hard to put Michigan anywhere but 1, maybe 2. Again, if Michigan beats DC, it's Michigan or St. Louis at, well, they are 1 and 2. It's just a matter of where do you put them at 1 and 2. And it will be, if that happens, that will probably be the weakest number 1 team in my power rankings history in regards to the league in a sense. Like, might just be. Like, whoever's number 1, if that happens, oh man. Like, compared to, like, the Stallions last couple of years, oh man. Like, I would say that, but then you have the, question about Danny Etling. And again, it's the who you beat, like beating DC. Again, it depends how they beat DC. Like, if you beat DC on, like, a last-second field goal, then obviously St. Louis is above you. But it's a matter of, like, St. Louis, number 1 gets weaker and weaker. Hey, if DC wins, it gets stronger. I will say that. Like, for the sake of me making an easier power rankings video, I hope DC wins, because then it makes it so much easier. Because then you put DC at number 1, you put St. Louis at number 2, then number 3 is a bit of debate, but, it's going to be somebody. Number 8 is going to be, like, San Antonio if they lose, and then it's, a lot easier. Worst case scenario for making a power rankings is Michigan beats DC by 10 points, because then it's like you can't put them at 2, but then it's like you can't put them at 1 either. Put San Antonio at 1. It might just manifest itself true. Oh, man, dude. If San Antonio wins and, like, Memphis, Houston have, like, a true shootout close game where both teams look good, oh, my God. That number 8 spot is going to be a nightmare to put. Oh, man. Like, if Memphis, Houston ends, like, 28-25 and both teams played well and Memphis wins, but San Antonio pulls off the upset, it's like, dude, who do you put at 8? You know what I mean? Because, like, Houston looks incredible against the Memphis team that got back-to-back wins, but then it's like San Antonio won, so you got to put Houston at 8, but then it's like Houston looked really good, San Antonio looked really bad last week. It's like, oh, my God. I mean, hey, what will you rate this game? Oh, yeah, for the Friday Night Football tier list we'll do at the end of the year. Honestly, probably C tier. This was not as bad as some of the other Friday night games. Like, this is an aggravating watch in a sense. I don't know. D or C. This ain't a high one. This ain't going high in the tier. This is C or D, yeah. Anyway, you put the Roughnecks at 1. After this week, no. Because because no matter what, St. Louis is above them. But if Houston wins, San Antonio wins, and Michigan wins, Houston has an argument for 3, but probably 4. So yeah, it's not Birmingham Arlington, but still so frustrating. Oh, Birmingham Arlington. Oh my god. Oh, like the fact that a game that ended like a 2-point difference is going to go straight into F tier really shows how bad that game was. Like, I lost football brain cells watching that game. It'll be a dogfight. Houston wins 26-20. That game should be great. I really hope it lives up to the hype because that should be a great game this week. Birmingham losing 2 straight at home would bring peace to the Middle East. Bro, if they lose 2 straight, they've never done that. And dude, not only that, don't forget, if they lose again, they break their franchise record in this era for most losses in a season. It would be insane. I want Michigan, San Antonio, and Memphis to win for the chaos in the UFL conference, especially Birmingham looking to be the weakest they've ever looked. It will be insane. Last year we knew the top and bottom teams. We really did. Last year was pretty clear early on. It was like you've got DC was like middle of the road, and then everybody else was just low. And the Renegades just because they kept losing close games. But yeah, Renegades got DC, Memphis, San Antonio. Can we afford to lose one? Let me see. Let me pull up a certain other team, the St. Louis Battlehawks. So, St. Louis Battlehawks, their last 5 games, they have the Brahmas, and so both teams still have the Brahmas and Showboats, which again, Showboats might be a tougher opponent now than you thought. Wow, it's a tough one. So Arlington has at DC. That's rough. So does St. Louis. So they both have at DC. Though that Week 10 game might not matter, so DC might be resting. No, they won't. No, DC ain't gonna rest starters. If they could bounce St. Louis from the playoffs, they're gonna put all their starters in that game. We all know that. I mean, honestly, the schedules are almost identical for both teams. They really are. When you look at it for Arlington and St. Louis, right? Both teams have at Memphis and at DC. Like, literally, both teams have both those matchups. Though the Battlehawks get San Antonio at home, Arlington has them at San Antonio. Arlington has the Panthers. The Battlehawks have the Stallions. Most people don't agree on or don't even know which team is so good. Yeah, so I wouldn't say, like, you are in a must, like, win every game, but it's going to be a dogfight for that playoff spot between the Battlehawks and the Renegades. Though if the Renegades continue looking like this, they ain't making the playoffs. But, like, it's one of the things where surely they're not going to look this bad again. But, yeah. Solve the economic crisis. Doesn't it look like the average 2021 divisional round playoff game there were Stallions Renegades? Stallions Renegades, man. That is... I mean, to date, that is the only game where I've made a dedicated video essentially for it. Even though I talked about other issues for it. Okay, G-Man is asking for it. Okay, so if you want to see it, then we'll pull it up. You know what? Let's put up this image first. In celebration of him actually being labeled as a somewhat competent coach recently for some reason. All right, well, there's Todd Haley. Per G-Man's request. Are the Renegades better or worse, the same as last year? I describe them as this. Defense is better. Defense is much better than last year. Offense is worse than last year. Or it's just that defenses are better across the league. It's one of those two. But the defense is a lot better than last year. Last year, the defense was not nearly this good. Like, again, the defense minus the DC game has held every team to 15 or under. Like, if you hold your opponent to 15 or less and you lose, it's on the offense 100% of the time. So, that's what I would say for that one right there in regards to who's better there. Oh, no, let me put up this image. Let me put up no, it's the wrong one. There we go. That's a classic. I love that image. SDM, thank you for doing that one. I say slightly worse, especially offensively. Yeah. Though the defense is a lot better. Like, it's like they got really good on one side and then bad on the other side. But the side they got a little bit worse on is, like, just not good. You know what I mean? Because, like, if the defenses in the league get better and your offense gets slightly worse, it's like, ooh, that hurts. But, yeah. Yeah, I mean... I don't know who I replied to, but I described it very similar to that. They're a much better defense, a slightly worse offense, overall a much better team, or not much better, but a better team. But turnovers, coaching, penalties. Like, the red zone offense has been horrid this season. Again, they had week 1. If you eliminate that one, it's such a weak year for them. It's actually insane how they've done, so yeah. So you had to pick who is winning the chip this season right now. Who would you say? DC by beating some team on the most BS, random, no way they should win type of way. That's what I would say. DC is going to pull off some random BS and win. Like, they're going to, like, be losing the whole game or something. They're going to, like, block a punt and return it for a touchdown or something like that. Like, that's the kind of... They're going to win off, like, a pick 2 or something. Like, they're going to go against a team who's trying to win it. You know, it's a tie game. They go for the 1-point conversion. Then they get the interception, return it for a 1-point conversion. Like, that's how this season's been going. DC would get, like, that kind of win. Well, yeah. Osama Kurt Johnson, bruh. You think there'll be 10-week season schedule to add 2 teams? I think it would still work. Because if you do 2 conferences of 5 teams each, right, you can... Or 6 teams each, I should say, my apologies. You can make it to where you play your opponents twice, so you'd get 8 games there, and then you play half the... Or you add 1 game. I don't know. You could keep it 10 weeks and still be fine, but I think 12 weeks is probably the max you'd have, but I think 10 weeks you can still keep it. Because your conference opponents would be 8 games, you play them twice. So you have 8 games there, then you have 2 teams. Nah, I think the way I viewed it was if you change it to the Division 4, I don't know. I had it, but I'm just, thinking. DC wins after the controversy with the lunch lady at UFL HQ. Doorman 2.0, bro. Give me Panthers versus Battlehawks for the championship. I wouldn't be too shocked, honestly. I don't think they moved to 12 games, so they add 12 teams. Add 12 teams, or you mean get to 12 teams. That's a big difference. But, yeah. It'll be something else. I'm a Panthers fan this weekend. Whoop, DC. Yeah, if you're a Renegades fan, you need Michigan to get this W, because that makes it much, much better for you if you're Arlington for sure. Man, what a game. This was a game. Like I said, I could go on for a while about how bad this game is. Oh my god, Cam Carter is actually playing. I can't believe this. He's actually playing for the Panthers. We're finally going to see him play. There's no way. Oh my goodness. So, the first time that we see Sims go to the inactive roster, we get him active. Oh my goodness. Jared Garantano inactive. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that. And Jamar Smith is back with the Stallions again. Of course, there's like the whole issue with Corral's injuries and all that, but yeah. Michael Thomas. Okay, real ones know the championship game is going to be the Roughnecks Brahmas. Okay. Brahmas? I don't know about that one. Hey, but you know what? Thank you all for being with this stream. Again, if you like this stream, make sure to like this stream and subscribe if you haven't already. Think about becoming a community member. You get like 6 team emojis. I think we need like 3 more members to get another one. You get an exclusive video every month. You get to vote on what game we do if you become a community hero and all that. This was a wild game. I mean, stream-wise, this was fun for the wrong reasons, but this was a very fun game to watch. Again, remember, I will be streaming the Panthers DC game, which will be on ESPN, not ESPN2. I'm not changing the thumbnail, but it is on ESPN, not ESPN2. That will be at 11:45 a.m. EST. I will be starting the stream, so be on the lookout for that one. And as always, guys, have a great night. Great game. It was something else.